You're watching the Bassmaster Elite at Toledo Bend, being brought to you live by Power Pole.
Bassmaster Live showing up at your doorstep with another 3 hours of coverage for the third day. This Bassmaster Elite event on Toledo Bend. Well, a lot has gone on today. We have seen changes up and down the leaderboard. Changes in flux all day long. Jamie Hartman, though, is the only solid thing. He started in number one spot today, this morning. He's been down, he's been up, he's been down, he's been up, and he's back up now. Look at that, John Murray, Western angler who's won here on Toledo Bend before. Bassmaster, Bass Pro Shops Bassmaster Open many years ago. Jason Christie, Brandon Polinick making a big move in the morning. John Cruz moving up as well. Alton Jones finding his way into the top six. Jacob Wheeler, this guy we started watching this morning. We'll chronicle what he went through as we go on through the morning. Red high, Todd Faircloth, arrow down for Todd Faircloth, and ditto for James Elam. Let's get you caught up to what's been going on with our Toyota midday report. We'll start out with Jacob Wheeler.
Yeah, Tommy, Jacob Wheeler, the first day when he led this tournament, he caught a limit early on a buzzbait. Yesterday morning, he had a few bites, lost a couple fish, only left his shad spawn deal with one fish. This morning, though, he put on a clinic. I'll always remember when he put the trolling motor down this morning, he said, it's going to happen today. We're going to get it done. We're going to get it done. And he did with a buzzbait. He's fishing the shad spawn. He's fishing the shad spawn close to the bank with emergent grass. Those shad right up along the bank early in the mornings. Here he is close to takeoff, catching some fish. 51 boats just left out of there. He circles back around about 15, 20 minutes later and catches several quality fish on the buzzbait.
And this is, bear in mind, not automatic for everyone who wants to try it in the morning on Toledo Bend. You gotta kind of be on something there. He himself kind of failed at it yesterday.
Yeah, he did. It's so temperamental. The shad will move around. They'll be up in this patch of grass one day, and then the next day they're not there. They're on the other side of the lake.
Biggest limit of the day number 2 right there, sported by Casey Ashley, 23 pounds plus to put himself firmly in the top 5. And Casey Ashley, like so many of our guys we're following, doing something a little bit different.
He caught these bigger fish in the afternoon. We'll talk a little bit more about that later. This morning he had some bonus fish on a spinnerbait, shad spawn just a little bit deeper. But here's something I think we really need to pay attention this afternoon. I'll be disappointed, as much, maybe not quite as much as Casey, but I will truly be disappointed if Casey Ashley doesn't catch some big fish this afternoon. Yesterday, he caught most of those big fish in the afternoon after 1 o'clock on a jig, and it's just getting time for that to happen today.
Absolutely. And Casey Ashley, bear in mind, he's got one very important task to get done this year. He's got to fish well enough throughout the season to make it to the Bassmaster Classic, because we're going back to where he will defend his title from back in 2015 up in South Carolina. So that'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, when they made the announcement that the Classic was going to be back in Greenville on Lake Hartwell, I talked to Casey just a day or so later, and I said, I know you're excited about that Classic being back on Lake Hartwell. And he said, D-Height, I got to make it first. And that's certainly on his mind. He's making good progress here on Toledo Bend.
Jamie Hartman, we have not been able to get a good. We've had, let's just lay it out here. We've had a lot better pictures today. If you're just joining us and you watched yesterday, we've been doing better on pictures today. We've gotten a lot better signal from the anglers who we've been covering. Whether that will continue in the afternoon, we got our fingers crossed. We kind of think it will be, and we have big expectations. Casey Ashley, you just mentioned, you had big expectations for him in the afternoon.
The difference here in the afternoon with Jamie Hartman yesterday, and I think on day one, he moved out to deeper water fish using a drop shot like you would expect a guy from Lake Oneida to do. But he's shown his versatility this afternoon. I just got off the phone with Steve Bowman, who's been out there. He said Jamie Hartman has been sight fishing for the last few hours, catching fish, so we might not see him back out on the lake, but hey, he's at top of the leaderboard. He's making the right calls.
Todd Faircloth still waiting for our first look of the day at Todd Faircloth. You can see he's way down there, bottom end of the lake, getting very close to the dam, and I hope we find him somewhere today. And he's got to pick up the pace just a little bit if he wants to stay in that top 12. I think he's got that made, but he's just got to stay in the top 6.
He's another angler that told me he caught his 2 biggest fish late in the day yesterday, so expect to see some bigger things from Todd Faircloth.
James Elam.
We're on a different lake, still in Texas, but we're on a different lake. But James Elam has carried on not only momentum, but almost the same pattern here from the Classic. He's fishing off the bank, but not out on that deeper drop stuff. He's just kind of in between. We talked about that some yesterday. A lot of these fish here at Toledo Bend seem to be sitting either they've just finished spawning and they're out just a little bit, or there's still some moving in. Looking at the way the leaderboard changed from mid-morning until just now, John Murray catching 2 7-pounders. If I had to bet, I know he loves to sight fish. It's a good chance that maybe he caught some of those fish sight fishing. Alton Jones moving up the leaderboard. Brandon Pollitt, Randy Howell, those guys, I would be willing to bet some of those guys are definitely catching those fish. Looking at them, I thought it would happen yesterday afternoon. Maybe the north wind and that cool night stalled those fish a little more. Don't forget, the full moon is Monday.
Okay.
Fish are definitely coming.
Get closer and closer to that. John Murray, who actually I mentioned has won here on Toledo Bend almost 15 years ago, won a Bass Pro Shops Bassmaster Open. The next year, this giant Lake Toledo Bend, he wins. The next year, he wins $100,000 at the Bush Shootout, fishing the final day on a 6-hole course that I guarantee is not as big as the off limits here at Toledo Bend.
Wow.
So that's a contrast.
Big
and
water
that was his
small.
last win.
I fished with John Murray my first year on the Bassmaster Tournament Trail. It was invitationals back then, opens they're called now, but you fish along with other professionals, or wannabe professional is what I was at that time for sure, and was very, very impressed with John Murray as a gentleman, his fishing ability, all of the things above. He's a great guy, and I'm surprised that he hasn't won more than he has to this point in his career, more Elite Series tournaments and that sort of thing, but he's knocking on the door today. Absolutely, looking great at this point on day number 3, and we're past the halfway point of this tournament. We're way past the halfway point of this tournament. We're past the halfway point in day number 3. Like Casey's tying on a football jig. Hoping to make it happen here this afternoon, just like he did yesterday. Had the biggest bag yesterday, caught in the afternoon.
James Elam coming off his 4th place finish at the Geico Bassmaster Classic 2 weeks ago, Lake Conroe.
Has he picked up a spinning rod since he lost that fish on the final morning at the Classic? We haven't seen. We've had a camera on him a lot. I haven't seen it back in his hand.
Yeah, it might be something that makes his stomach churn a little bit, maybe.
Yeah.
Davey, with Casey right there putting on a football head jig, we heard it in the Classic. We've heard it a lot of people. What's the difference when you're throwing a football head jig when you pick a round rubber football head jig compared to just normal skirted material? What are the benefits of picking a round rubber compared to normal?
Well, that's a great question, and Jordan Lee won the Bassmaster Classic using the round living rubber instead of the silicone skirts like you see more often. I'm a firm believer in the living rubber skirts. I think it has a lot more action, adds a little more bulk, and when I'm jig fishing, I like bulk. Even Edwin Evers, when he won the Classic last year, he used it was a finesse jig, but living rubber. I just think it has a lot more action.
You throw that a lot. That's in your mop jig that you designed, correct? The round rubber?
Yep, living rubber. I like it in the mop jig, the finesse jigs, a lot. You can do so much more with colors with the silicone jigs and make all the pretty sparkles and that sort of thing. And I think oftentimes it catches the fishermen more so than the fish.
James Elam from Oklahoma. Again, we mentioned just finished his 2nd Bassmaster Classic with great results down in Houston.
See him looking down at his graph a lot, and it looks like he's fishing nothing, but he's probably a grafter this area, and he knows where the stumps are, the trees. He's out just far enough, probably on the inside edge of the timber.
Let's look at James Elam earlier this morning. Caught up with him not too far from where he is right now.
We talked about the one he lost in the Classic. It was on a shaky head, but he caught most of his fish in the Classic, fishing a Texas rig. He was using a Cinco some, and then we also saw him using a big worm. Texas rig in the Classic. Looks like he's using a Texas rig here, but it looks like a creature bait.
It's a keeper.
Fishing a lot of those shallow haunts that people look at Lake Conroe, but he was backing off and fishing out in front of it. That's something you didn't find many people doing out there. Something that worked definitely for him throughout the week.
When you talk about pressured lakes, the key is to look for something that's not the obvious. And that's certainly what James Elam has been doing in the Classic and also here at Toledo Bend.
Currently in 11th place, starting today, the runner-up spot.
Three.
He's even really making a lot of progress the last 3 years. He's 5 years as an elite pro, 5th year. Won at Fort Gibson. It's not too far from home. Best elite Series finish was Mille Lacs at the Toyota Bassmaster Angler of the Year last year. Second place in Toyota Bassmaster Angler of the Year points. That's an impressive statistic. I think he finished in the mid-20s last year to make it to the Geico Bassmaster Classic. Of course, we say he finished in 4th place down at Lake Conroe. So a young man. We had misidentified him as a 20-something yesterday. But
he's an old guy.
He's an old guy. He's on that glide path down now. Past the age of 30. He may be 31 very, very soon.
Been very impressed with James Elam.
Starting your 5th year on tour, how would you assess your career thus far in the past 5 years?
I think it's been slow but steady. You know, I think I've learned a lot and progressively gotten better. It's been good. I'm happy with it. The first 2 years weren't great, but that's pretty much expected.
What would you say? Go ahead.
There's just so much you just don't know and don't understand until you do it, even if you are a fisherman. And I didn't really have the experience outside of Oklahoma that I needed. And you know, now when I go somewhere, I know more what to expect cross country. Before I didn't.
Can you zero in any one thing that has made a difference for you since you started?
Probably that. I understand, you know, all these lakes better. That's one big deal. I make better decisions. You know, you just get better, I think, from experience and just all the way around, everything, you know, I know how to do. I feel like I know, you know, the best way to do things now. And before, you have no way of knowing that. So, one more cast on this place and we're gonna go to the next cove.
Grinding hard today, trying to make something happen. It certainly did happen for him yesterday, the second largest stringer of the day, 22 pounds plus.
We've seen the change. This is his 5th year on tour, this 3rd time fishing Toledo, and he's moved from 62nd the first time we were here in 14. Last year he finished in the 20s. He finished 28th last year, and now he's in the top 12. So these young guys, he's not in the 20s, but he's 30-year-old, you know, picking it up quick.
Picking up right now, I'm going to, as he says, move on to the next cove.
You're good. No, that's good. Good.
A Rapala 5 Live. Those are the guys we've got, the anglers with cameras on them today, live cameras. We're trying to fold them into the mix here, Bassmaster Live. Got some good stuff already from Jacob Wheeler. Nice limit. He got 5 live in the boat very early, in about 20 minutes this morning. Jacob Wheeler, our day 1 leader. The best of day 2, Casey Ashley.
Yep, and Casey had a really good day yesterday. Like I mentioned, he caught most of these bigger fish in the afternoon after 1 o'clock. Expect to see some good things from him this afternoon. Casey, guy that if he's in the hunt, you better look out. He knows how to win.
Lots of good shots from Casey today. We have yet to see Todd Faircloth. So hopefully he'll move into a spot where we can check in on what he's doing.
Again, another angler that had a good stringer yesterday said he caught him in the afternoon.
Todd Faircloth is certainly overdue for a win here at Toledo Bend, that's for sure. James Elam.
He's a guy that said, I'm just not catching a lot, but those 3 5-pounders I caught yesterday really helped, I'd say.
That's some good math skills right there as well.
Yep.
And our leader, Jamie Hartman. And Jamie Hartman, if you look at our fast track right now, he just keeps upgrading. He's extended his lead. Now over second place, John Murray. And we fully expect to see some Jamie Hartman later this afternoon, although you catch a big one, a 6 to 7 pounder as he did early this morning. It may be a little bit hard to dislodge him from his spot where he's kind of bunkered in right now.
We were talking about Casey earlier. He said he caught his fish yesterday afternoon. Basically everything he weighed, he didn't find them until 1 o'clock. This morning, he got some bonus fish for sure on a spinnerbait. Same deal we've been talking about, shad spawn, but out a little deeper. These shad were around the timber, just out a little deeper. They'll do that here. Rayburn.
Number 2 of the day.
Gunnersville comes to mind, where you'll have a large amount of shad that don't go all the way to the bank. They'll spawn on cover just offshore.
Casey Ashley, the small town boy from South Carolina. Hard to believe he's been out here a decade.
That is truly hard for me to. It seems like he's still 25 and he's only been out here 2 or 3 years, but time certainly flies.
Shown a lot of versatility, certainly picked up a lot. One of these guys who's on the job learning has been most successful during his tenure in the Bassmaster Elite Series.
Oh my, right there, baby. Bassmaster live.
And he's one of those guys that he's got 4 wins, I think, at this point on the Bassmaster Trail. Certainly knows how to win when he's in contention.
He's a closer for sure.
His best time period could be coming up. Like he said yesterday, caught them all late.
Gotta get the 5 to start with, and then start upgrading.
Again, what we've seen today from Jacob Wheeler, the winner to start this season. Cherokee Lake in Knoxville, Tennessee on the Holston River. Big, strong push on the final day in order to close that one out. He's got his designs on doing the same thing here.
Start it out. That's what I'm talking about.
He was excited this morning and he was getting it done. He missed, I think, only 1 fish this morning. Yesterday, lost 2 of his 3 that he had bite his buzzbait yesterday morning, but this morning he got a limit early on and in an impressive way. He moved around several different spots and caught fish on both sides of the lake this morning and filled his limit. Probably the first guy that had a limit, wasn't he?
Absolutely it was, yes sir. Got it done in about, we figure 17 minutes. That's pretty impressive. Jacob Wheeler from Indianapolis, Indiana.
Another one. Not a big one.
A lot of these fish coming from right there close to the takeoff.
Saw him fishing right around the takeoff there, just around the corner at the golf course. And
we're thankful for that we got to watch this.
that's right. You're supposed to catch your near fish first, aren't you?
We get it done today, boys.
Get it done today, boys, he said.
5 anyway. 2 pounder. That's right. All the rest of them pound and quarters. 2.5 and a. We're gonna get it done today, boys. Thinking Wesley. We're gonna run about. Oh, that's good, dude. Don't do it, you sucker. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. 2.5 pounder. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Down. Look at that. That's what you want them hooked right there. Game changer buzzbait action. Oh, little accent buzzbait. Put him on this side.
James Elam started the day in second place. Again, a 22-pound plus stringer on day number 2 here on Toledo Bend. He said all along, not getting so many bites, just like down at Lake Conroe, not getting very many bites at all, sometimes only 4 during the course of a day, but generally pretty good. And yesterday, plenty good.
His quality has been exceptional at Lake Conroe and also here at Toledo Bend. Both places, 4, 5, 6 bites a day is all he's been getting.
It's a keeper.
Definitely targeting the right
It's hard to
fish.
catch one of those sometimes.
That's why you don't want a spinner rod in your hand. That leverage that the bait caster provides.
Not big one, but good.
This fish bit on the end of the cast. You just have so much more power, so much more leverage with a bait caster rather than spinning. A lot of people ask, why do all the pros predominantly use the bait casters? It's all about power and leverage.
Good one right there. Certainly the highlight of James Elam's day. Started again, as we say, in second place, but during the course of the day, he has been passed by several anglers. So we are looking at him right now in 11th place. So he's got to think about picking up the pace a little bit. We got James Elam on the left, Casey Ashley on the right. Both of these guys, Casey Ashley in 12th right now. He's got to think, hey, James Elam, Casey Ashley, Seth Fider, Greg Hackney, Cliff Pace, and Brent Ayler, all right there around that 12 cut, all within about 1.5 pounds. That's tight.
It's going to be interesting. I truly believe that anyone in the top 12 tomorrow has a chance to win. We're on Toledo Bend. Catch the 2 7-pounders like John Murray did and make the move like he has today, someone can do it. But the key here is, if you're 13th, you're going home.
Yeah.
So that number 10, 11, and 12 spot, that there are about 8 or 10 really, really good anglers trying to get there to number 12. It'll be interesting.
You got so many guys on that cut line that you were saying right near it that have 8-pound limits or 4 fish for 8 pounds. There's so much move, so much room to grow.
Yeah, Height, Faircloth, and Elam are the only 3 in the top 12 without a limit. And they got plenty of room to move right in the top 5. They fill it up.
When we looked at the map of the lake just now, you saw that James Elam is farther south than Casey. You look at the water and you say, that doesn't seem right. You can see there's a lot more color in the water where James Elam is. Had some hard rains here last Sunday night. And even on the south end of the lake, the backs of these creeks and coves that James referred to, he was moving around to a different cove, the backs of these places have color. And I think that's one thing that has really hurt the sight fishing. This lower end where a lot of these guys found some fish on the bed, the first day of practice, once this dirty water moved into the lake and moved out into these coves, the back third of the coves, dirtied this water up. And the only way to really fish for these fish that are on the bed is doing exactly what James Elam was doing. He's fishing for these bedding fish, but he's just making casts to the inside edge of the wood line that you have down here on the lower end.
One thing, I got a text from someone in the region. They said, you know, that last spot we saw Elam fishing before he made that move to another creek, you could see like a boat ramp in the background. He said it wasn't like a major boat ramp where a bunch of big tournaments go out of, but rather a lot of local club events will go out of there. And everyone he's ever seen fish there will just launch and take off from there and come back and put it on the trailer. That not a lot of people fish right there. So he was fishing for those tweeners like we see, and we're also fishing for areas that get looked over by locals, it seems.
Right. Seems to be a lot of his MO, the 2 tournaments, the Classic and this. He's fishing for those fish that get overlooked.
Yep. Trying to zig while everyone else zags out there.
Yep.
Takes some incredible patience, wouldn't you say, Davey?
Absolutely.
Especially like when people want to fish, they either want to be on the bank, visual cover, or you want to be offshore like Jacob Wheeler on a big point or on a ledge. How hard is it to be patient and fish for that 8 to 15 foot of water where there's so much room for those fish to move?
It's hard to do that when you're just out on a Saturday casually fishing, but it's extremely hard to do that in a Bassmaster Classic like James Elam did.
Here's what
Wow.
we were talking about right there. Look how tight it is around 12th place. That's going to be the story at the weigh-in. That's what everybody's going to be looking at, that number 12 spot, because all these guys that, and as you say, 1 through 12 got a shot at it. Maybe even a couple below would think, I could have got it done.
Absolutely.
I could have got it done.
Well, and look at Matt Lee. Matt Lee's down in 18th with 4 fish, just 3 pounds out of the cut. And he could make his, I believe that would be his first career top 12. And I saw a bass cam from Dave Mercer as we were coming back from our break.
Not getting any bites.
And Dave Mercer said that Greg Hackney lost a 7 to 9 pounder.
Yeah. That's
Today?
kind of scary
Today.
because I hit the best 2 deals from yesterday. I didn't get a bite. It's one thing to, get a couple bites and miss them, but when you don't get any bites. We're just going to keep hitting these corners and don't really know what else to do.
Heard him say that going into the final day of the Classic, and he did a pretty good job not knowing what else to do, didn't he?
He did use those exact words.
And sometimes, like with Jordan Lee, knowing something else to do isn't necessarily a good thing.
Not at all. Key to his victory, nothing else to do.
This will be interesting to watch, just as much as the top 5 guys. Look at these guys trying to get that number 10, 11, and 12th place to be able to fish tomorrow, because I guarantee you, Greg Hackney thinks if he can make it until tomorrow, he's got a chance to win.
And that story about him losing a 7 to 9 pounder, man, what a big fish that would be. And still is, looms large.
If Murray stays there, he'd pick up like 30 AOI points today. He started like in 46th, and so he'd probably jump near the 20s. Well, out of
Started
the
in
Classic,
46
well inside.
AOI? Okay.
Well, that's with his start of 46 today points.
Okay.
He's going to jump up with at least, 34th to second place, 30 points right there.
Probably this morning he's thinking, I got a great chance to gain some AOI points. Because when you're in 46,
10, 15.
typically that's what you're thinking. Just make a move for the points, because the money doesn't change from 51st to 13th. So you're wanting to gain points. But not only has he gained some points, if he can stay in this top 12, which he has a great chance to do, you all of a sudden start thinking about $70,000 difference.
Yes, absolutely.
Not just AOI points. Jacob looks like he's where he was yesterday with that fish on the bed. Mm-hmm. It looks like the same area, don't you think?
Yeah, it does.
He had a fish here on the bed yesterday that he said was a nice 3 or 4 pounder that was just acting a little squirrely, I think the way he put it.
It's a little bit closer down to that dock, wasn't it?
Yep. I think he's headed right there. He's looking. Yep. This will be interesting, especially if you were tuning in yesterday and saw him give up on this fish fairly quickly. He just didn't like what he saw. If he can come back today and catch this fish, it'll be interesting.
He's still cruising pretty much on his 5 fish limit that he caught the very first thing this morning, 10 pounds and 9 ounces.
We got to see this fish, actually. Wes Miller shot down in the water, and we got to watch that fish be a little squirrely and swim off. What would you say? Definitely a 3.5 to 4 pounder. And
Yes.
I think Jacob said a male. He
Yes.
said it was the male.
Yes. On a place like Toledo Bend, last week I was fishing Santee Cooper, obviously a big fish place. You can find males 3.5, 4 pounds fairly regularly. And you never know, today the female might be there too, and I bet she's a real good one. He's looking. Hope he talks to us a little bit here about. He's real close to the bed, I think.
The male-female combo might be more than what he's got in the live well right now.
Looks like he's looking at him.
Mm-hmm.
That fish just acts too squirrely. I'm not doing this. Be great at wanting to bite, but it don't seem like he wants to bite. Let's try it.
Gave up on that fish a lot quicker today.
That fish saw Wheeler coming and said, okay, I got to act squirrely now. Saved his life over to another day. We got Bassmaster Live coming your way tomorrow. Hey, that's the big day, the final day. We'll decide our champ at Toledo Bend. Same time, 8 a.m. Eastern Time to 11. Our first 3 hours, second 3 hours from 12:30 to 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Bassmaster Live picking you very, very close to weigh-in time. And, of course, we'll have the weigh-in after that with Dave Mercer. We're going to take a quick break and return.
The Bassmaster Elite at Toledo Bend is brought to you by Berkeley, Hook, Humminbird, Mercury, Minn Kota, and by Nitro Boats.
Man, it's slow today.
Yep.
Mom, I caught a fish.
Good job, sweetie.
Hey, what kind of lure is that?
It's a Livingston. They have electronic bait fish sounds that activate as soon as they hit the water. Easiest way to catch a fish.
Hey, thanks.
You know, they're sitting up there.
There we go.
27 pounds, 4 ounces.
Yeah. Yes.
That spot just happens to be one of those special places.
The biggest bag of the tournament on Championship Sunday.
Yes. Yes.
Good things happen yesterday afternoon.
How about it? How about it? Yes, sir.
I'm in shock. I can't believe it.
You know that feeling you get when you save money on parts without having to jump through any hoops, track points, or make a bunch of extra trips to the store? Yeah, that's the one. Introducing Speed Perks from Advance Auto Parts, a rewards program for guys who love getting under the hood. No cards, no points, no nonsense.
You're watching the Bassmaster Elite at Toledo Bend, being brought to you live by Power Pole.
Bassmaster Live Classic just concluded down in the Bayou City of Houston, Texas. The Geico Bassmaster Classic, presented by Dick's Sporting Goods. The full story has not been told yet, but it will be told next weekend, Saturday, April 15th from 7 to 10 a.m. Eastern Time. First 2 days of the Classic and then a repeat including the final day of the Classic on Sunday, April 16th, 10 to 12 p.m. Eastern Time. Lots of stuff you've never seen before. You didn't get to see on Bassmaster Live. You will see it next weekend. Our Power Pole replay of the day, got to be that quick limit. Jacob Wheeler put in the boat early today on Toledo Bend. Really getting started
baby.
before you could
Yeah.
see.
Got to be our
Started
replay of the day.
That's what I'm talking about.
When you can catch a limit in the first 15 minutes in a Bassmaster Elite tournament, especially when you're day one leader and he's 6th or 7th place going out today, I think it was, and laid that trolling motor down this morning and said, we're getting it done. We're getting it done.
He certainly knocked out that task. Of course, he didn't finish with 5 fish yesterday. He only had 4. So he righted that ship. But since then,
That's what
kind of slim pickings for Jacob Wheeler. See what he does to turn the fortunes around in the afternoon.
It's really incredible, Tommy, that he's fished all over this lake, and he's a little sight fishing, shallow water, deep water, everything in between. And
Humminbird lay of the lake. There's a different look for us there. You can see that online at Bassmaster.com.
Toledo Bend has so much to offer, and when you see the GPS, the Humminbird Lake Master card here, you see all that this lake has to offer, especially when you look at the old original river channel and these big creeks that feed in. Just a lot to offer. You got the main river, which has played the last few times we were here. Kevin Van Dam last year caught a lot of his fish where the pointer is out on this main river ledge, main river channel. And what you don't see here with the Lake Master chip is there is standing timber throughout all of this. So it's hard to navigate, but with the Lake Master chip that you've got here, you can see there is a lot to offer, a lot of contour. Any good bass fishery, other than maybe in the state of Florida, it seems to have a lot of contour. Toledo Bend certainly has that. You see these creeks headed back in, and being able to follow with your card on your GPS. You want to look at these points where these intersections of these smaller creeks go out into the main river channel. That's places that the bass use, like the interstate.
Certainly an enhancement to the experience for everybody who's watching at home. Bassmaster Live. You can go into Bassmaster.com, click on this map right here, have a look at it. It's really, really enlightening.
If you go fish a body of water that you're unfamiliar with, you've absolutely got to have a card, a topo map right there on your graphs to be able to fish it effectively. You're way behind the 8 ball if you don't have that.
The old, as you would call it, the old Indian tricks of looking at the shoreline, what's up, and extrapolating for what's below. That's
Exactly.
That's an art that's kind of fading away, and nobody was much good at it ever before anyway.
Right.
We're gonna get up and run when we get to the boat lane right here. We're gonna go all the way back where we started this morning. Yeah, it's getting about lunchtime now. It's time for them to be eating. We gotta get back up there and check them out. When the shad spawns and all this timber, I think it messes everything up because those fish just get up and roam, up high in the water column and feed on those shads spawning on the trees. They don't necessarily hold one certain spot. When the sun comes out, it makes them get back to where they're supposed to be. That's my theory. I hope it works out.
That's good news to hear from Casey Ashley. He's been letting the spot where he caught his fish yesterday, and I think he said where I started this morning we had good service, so this is going to be fun to watch. He caught some fish this morning on spinnerbait in the timber, but the way he caught his big ones yesterday, those fish had settled down to the bottom. With the football jig, I'm betting a little hard spot on the bottom where Casey Ashley made hay yesterday, and I think he'll catch some there today.
Matt Lee with a 5-pounder just climbed in a 9th.
There we go. Just talked about it.
Yeah, you did, Ronnie. Good call. He's in the top 12.
Something we need to look at. Davey pointed this out, guys. Look down in the 51 and up, and we see some names there that have not registered a weight yet, which could be players, right?
For sure. We know that service is always iffy on Toledo Bend with Iconelli, Russ Lane, Skeet Reese, Brent Chapman, all not registering. We've seen Mark Davis, who's in 51st right now. We've seen him on the blog with some fish. And Tommy Biffle and Mike McClelland also haven't registered. So we've got about, six to seven guys that might have not pinged their bass track. So the leaderboard definitely has some room to change.
Keep that in mind. I'm going to be willing to bet that one of those guys is going to be in the mix for that number 12 spot.
You got to think.
And guys, one of the big movers we've seen today was John Murray. We spoke of him when we started this the second 3-hour segment. He had 2 7-pounders.
There he is,
here's
right
one
there.
of them right there on the right side of your screen. Those are big time, right, Davey? Not only just to have one, but to have 2.
Big time, and I noticed that fish looked like it had not spawned yet, probably sight fishing. I would be surprised if John Murray doesn't catch another one, and he will be.
He's got
he'll be
a
atop the
1.5
leaderboard.
pounder in his bag, so he's got room to have a nice day.
Good
Brandon
point.
Polinick, another one of the big movers from today. Photo from him out there. That's a nice one.
Polinick's up in the top 5, and there's one of Matt Lee's keepers as well. We just said his 5-pounder hasn't came in probably to the blog yet, but that 5-pounder will give him roughly a limit for 13 pounds. Bump him up into 9th, like you said.
It's a nice thing to have on day number 3. Bassmaster Elite Series event. These are all on the blog. You can find them yourself.
Yep.
Brent Ayler finished 3rd in the Classic 2 weeks ago. He's trying to make a run up the leaderboard as well. Your AOI points leader as well. We talked about his ability to move up the leaderboard today, Davey, and that fish will go a long way to get him some extra points from 41st starting today.
Hot Defoe quietly sneaking up on the AOI points where he wants to be to keep his lead.
Jason Williamson's right there in the top 3 in AOI, and he saved his tournament and possibly his chances at AOI with a 7-pound, 10-ounce fish in the last 30 minutes. So
Hanging tough this year in that points race. He will not go away. Here's Jason Christie.
That's a big one there for Jason. Gosh, I wish we had service with him because he was fishing a frog yesterday, throwing a spinner bait and maybe a vibrating jig, just fishing in those pockets up on the northwest end.
And there we just spoke of Mark Davis, who is listed as the last angler, 51st place right now. But we see he does have fish in the live well. Just like our camera cell range hasn't been the best today and throughout this event at Toledo Bend. Same with the marshals and their photos, trying to send emails, trying to ping their GPS location. So,
and Beehive.
There he is. We haven't seen much of him. I mean, hardly any at all. But Brett Hyde getting his job done, doing what he wants to do in a place where
he wants to do it.
Where he wants to do it, and obviously a place we can't get to with our
That's right.
cameras. And
not where we want him to do it.
No,
He's
we would like
hanging
for him
in
to come
10th with only 4 fish.
That's right. One of the guys with 4 fish in the top 12, Randy Howell. Nice fish right there, giant.
Beautiful.
This guy jumped up, Randy Howell, jumped up yesterday into the top 12. 11th place. He had 17.5 pounds yesterday.
Dave Lefebvre right there.
Boy, he's steady hand when you go to a body of water where there's some shallow fish, and there's almost always some shallow fish, and he keeps that jig in his hand an awful lot and has been doing well with it.
Mr. Aaron Martin's looking for him to start a run, a big surge. Hey, first time today.
All right.
Our leader, Jamie Hartman. Tell me it ain't true.
No, that got his attention. Here he comes. Shit, man, she swallowed it. Damn it. That'll help too, I think. Dang it. Swallowed it. Didn't know he had it that whole time. I had no idea.
We'll listen to him, but then we need to talk about this a little bit.
Yeah.
He's got his limit, and hook that fish deep. We'll see if he decides to keep it or not.
Saw how quick he got that hook out though, which is good.
Oh yeah.
I don't think the hook came out.
It will help.
He did get the bait out.
Got the bait out and clipped his line.
It will help. As long as it ain't gonna die. I gotta make sure that these are my 2 small ones, number 1 and number 4, I think it was. It's an upgrade, but I can't find that. There's, whew, man, that big one. That's not the one. Five. Definitely number 1. Where did that fish go? Right there. Stay. Oh, it's lively. Yep, that's the one. Stop bleeding already. Yep. Alright, so we're going to put this on its own side without a tag on it right at the moment. Yeah, it's fine. Release. I have 2 like that. Now I got 1 like that. An upgrade. Huh?
It was a full day update.
The half day update?
Full day.
Well, we got a pretty good sack already. I mean, it's not a big sack, but I don't know. I'm in the 16 range, 16 something. I got 1 biggin, 1 real biggin. Got that one right there.
Wow.
Toad. Absolute toad. Oh my God, it might be bigger than I thought. This stuff, when you got a bleeder, you got a hook in its mouth or something, this stuff is the bomb. It'll stop it. It'll clot the bleeding. I don't like the color of that water though. We'll get some of it out of there though. I gotta remember to shut that off, put more ice in there. Awesome. Came in to check a pocket, found one on a bed, 3rd flip. Got it. That's the way they're supposed to be. Right now, I'm pretty sure I got enough to fish tomorrow, so I'm not even gonna retie this, dude, because I think we're done sight fishing. I mean, we gotta go catch a biggin. We get one more biggin in the box, and we're good. I think we're good now, but one more would be nice. One more biggin. Let's just cruise this bank and we'll see if we can see one more. If not, we're just going. We're going fishing. We're gonna go look for. If we get some cloud cover, that'd be nice. I like it. I like it. We spot it.
Come on, come on.
Oh, don't stop on us right there. All
Real
right.
interesting what he did there, Tommy.
Yeah, you watch it with interest. Kind of a bold move to keep that fish in a way, isn't it?
Very bold. Had that fish weighed a pound or 2 or 3, if it was a really big fish, there's no doubt I would have kept that fish. But we saw it on a balance beam. It helped him some, and he put that treatment in the water, added some ice. He did everything that he could do to help that fish survive. But in case you're not familiar with the Bassmaster rules, you cannot cull a dead fish.
Yeah.
So if that fish, and it might happen, he could go back and check on it in 5 minutes and it be turned up, and that could cost him the tournament. If the fish lives and he doesn't catch another good fish, and you say he was a genius, but I would have thought longer and harder about whether to keep that fish than he did.
Yeah, if the fish does not live and takes it back, again, he can't cull it. Also, it incurs a penalty when he takes it back to the weigh-in there. So, yeah, that's kind of stepping out there a little bit. But
and what's interesting was the beam was not too far leaning, but he never put a cull tag on that fish. So the other fish that he judged it against had a cull tag, which added a little bit of weight on the beam. So that fish still was heavier without a cull tag. But he did say it stopped bleeding after he gave it a minute or two there in the live well.
We'll see. We'll see. He, like I said, he did everything he could do to assure that fish stays alive.
I don't think all day yesterday we went through every list we could possibly go through because we were filling some time between getting pictures, but I don't think we hit this one, the Rookie of the Year list. Take a look at that, and huge surprise right there, Jamie Hartman on top based on his second place finish up at Cherokee and currently first place standing here at Toledo Bend. And guys, he beat out Jesse Wiggins right there in second place. Dustin Connell, who also made an appearance there at Cherokee in a supporting role, actually, as I remember it.
This leaderboard's going to change today. Like we mentioned earlier, only 3 rookies made the cut today. Jamie Hartman, Jesse Wiggins, and Mark Daniels Jr. And right now, currently, Hartman's still leading where he was, to start the day. Jesse Wiggins started the day in 46th, approximately 36th. So unofficially, he would move up a couple spots. And then Mark Daniels Jr. started the day in 29th. He's only got 3 fish in the boat right now, and he's in 33rd. So those 3 guys can gain some points for sure or lose some points, depending on if they drop.
It's interesting to me, the last few years especially, I have to go way down the Rookie of the Year list before I see a name that I haven't heard of before that I'm familiar with. Go down to about 9th, 10th place before, not guys that have caught them in other tournament trails for a lot of years.
There's Jamie Hartman at Cherokee Lake, and you say this is a lot more of a setting where he should feel at home right here, Dave.
This was his wheelhouse, and basically everyone that did a little research on Jamie Hartman thought that he would do good here, and he didn't disappoint. He had a great tournament here, almost pulled the thing off. Had Jacob Wheeler not made that surge on the final day, on the final afternoon, Jamie Hartman would have won his first Bassmaster Elite tournament.
We had 3 big-time players at the top of that story there, and one of them was Jamie Hartman, who had a fantastic, probably his best day of all on the final day.
3 ounces. 17-3. Ladies and gentlemen, his first ever Elite Series event. Let's hear it for Jamie Hartman.
Just falling short of Jacob Wheeler. Of course, the story up before this day was Jesse Wiggins, the young man on a roll, having won his last 2 tournaments on the Bass Pro Shops Bassmaster.
3 ounces, and with that,
Open trail.
Yeah,
he won several of the opens, and then those 3 faces we're seeing here at Toledo Bend all doing well. Obviously, Jamie Hartman doing the best, taking the lead. And
gonna hit it another time here about Dick CPEC Tires and Wheels, Bassmaster Elite Series Trivia. We do one of those right now.
You got one for us?
Well,
we got one. Here it comes.
Such wound up and delivers this one right here. What percentage of share lunkers, the big ones, the state of Texas has been caught in March and April? I guess in a typical year, what would be the percentage caught in these 2 months we're in right now, March and April? Would it be 22% of them, 38% of them, 47 or 58% of them caught in March or April?
I'm super interested to see Davey's pick because this one is really not Elite Series related or anything.
No, it's not, but boy, there's those 2 months are certainly great. A great time of year to catch big bass.
And that's a 13-pounder plus.
And
that
there's a
Texas
13.
program, so.
We're going to wait till we get back, or we pick now?
We're going to do it. Is it D? Is that what you're saying,
I'm
Dave?
thinking D.
Oh.
All right, you're right. Absolutely.
You're right.
Dang. Guys
I
are
just
on it
rolled with
today.
you.
There you go.
with you.
Yeah, that's
Can't
not a
stop
good
the
plan.
van.
Never. Did get
Yeah,
lucky
real
that
good.
time. Makes sense. Makes a lot of sense right there.
I do an article each month in the Carolina Outdoor Magazine, and every year my article in March is, this is your best month of the year to catch a big bass. Speaking of big bass, Casey Ashley just moved back to where he caught the majority of the fish he weighed in yesterday, the 5 that he was able to take to the scales here, and about this same time of day. He's left it, let it rest, and hoping to see some big things here in the next 30 minutes or so from Casey.
Laid out his theory for us on where he thinks they ought to be set up right now, this part of the day. We'll see how the theory pans out.
So just an update, we were speaking of the Bassmaster Bass Track standings and how Russ Lane was one of those anglers not popping up on the leaderboard. Well, he's popping up now. Bass Track's slowly populating. He does have a limit. It only says 2 fish on Bass Track right now, so they've just started popping in. His marshal, Jim Ebarb, just sent in all his blogs saying we just reached service, so.
Okay. Still got some others unaccounted for out there. We think. TH Marine. Hey, this wind, about as much as we've seen since the day before yesterday.
It is, Tommy. 11 miles an hour is showing on TH Marine weather update. To me, that is a perfect wind for Toledo Bend. 11 miles an hour out of the south. Should see some big fish caught this afternoon.
Wind from the south generally meaning a little bit of high pressure in here, maybe some stability. Something that a lot of folks would say is a good place to go after Florida strain bass. A little bit of trouble with Casey's picture there. We're going to stay with him though as we take a look at him earlier today.
In the same area.
Just about.
He came back here this afternoon, but he started there this morning with a spinnerbait. Said he saw a lot of shad in the area yesterday afternoon, but they were down a little bit, so he changed up a little bit this morning and started here with a spinnerbait. Shad were up high in the water column and active. Caught some really good fish.
Better fish there.
And that I think means look at the spinnerbait down in this fish's mouth. It's what you like to see. Don't lose as many, but it also gives you a good sign that maybe
Bassmaster live.
Maybe you've dialed into the right
Better
blade
tag him
combination
too.
on
We might get the
spinnerbait.
cull out.
Again, like he told us when we first rolled up on him, that he is fishing some pretty thick timber down there.
Yep.
And you mentioned that's good at that time of day because you need something to pin those shad up against. It's, the bass appreciate that.
I was watching his rod a little closer with this shot than I did this morning.
And then you can start upgrading.
And you could tell that, oh, there's Todd.
How about that?
These are the 2 guys that I talked to last night that said they caught their biggest fish. Todd said he caught his 2 biggest fish in the last hour or so. So really excited that we've got coverage of both of these guys because they made their hay in the afternoon yesterday, and it's good to see them here on the live camera.
Hang in there, live cameras, absolutely. Maybe we can get a big one on camera.
He needs 2 to fill his limit. He's stuck on 3.
11th place unofficially right now on Bass Track with 3 fish in the well. Todd Faircloth.
What did you call him?
T-O-double-D.
Is that his Mercer name?
I think so.
Okay, all right. I'm so out of it. I'm not. Did I not hear Mercer refer to what Dean did when he won as a celly? Meaning a celebration?
Oh,
he called it a celly. Come on.
We got selfies. We got sellies. Mercer's just. He's a professional speaker, so I guess he can make up words technically. I think that's in his job description.
That's Canadian.
He's
Is
so
that phrase
far beyond
Canadian, or is that just Mercer?
I'm such an out of it, dull-witted fool. I'm just not up with the times here.
Me either, Tommy.
But I celly that fact.
He does not miss a beat, though.
No.
It's very impressive. If you go to a takeoff or you go to a weigh-in, he knows the finishes, the stats, the accolades of 110 of the best guys. It's impressive.
Good to see Todd Fairclough get a little peek of what he's doing. It looks like he's pitching and soft plastic bait around the outside edge of this hay grass, but he's also looking left to right. I think he's fishing along, certainly hoping he's going to catch a fish, but he's looking for one on the bed, it appears to me. A little back stretch there.
Hey. First look at Jamie Hartman. First look at Todd Fairclough in this last half hour. What have we seen else today? Earlier, well, we were just talking about Todd Fairclough getting there early to that spot right there where we find him again this afternoon. James Elam, steady, slow, sticking with his stuff, just like he did at the Classic. This guy has patience.
I'm not catching him very good. I don't know if I can get a bite. Those 3 5-pounders went a long way.
Jamie Hartman, our first look at him. He's inside the hay line there.
Yeah, that one right there.
Off the bed. Caught that one a little bit earlier. Very impressive.
Interesting to see this afternoon if that fish makes it through the day and if he made the right choice.
Yeah, you've got to watch that. Got to remember to watch that. We'll also be watching that 12th position right there. All important on this day, and a lot of big-time anglers right under it and right above it, gunning to make it into the top 12. Top 12 will fish tomorrow. We'll have Bassmaster live for you then. 6 hours again tomorrow. But we got plenty of scores to settle today here at Toledo Bend.
Facts matter. All monofilament is not the same. Berkley is the strongest, smoothest, most dependable monofilament line in the world. Why would you risk your fishing trip to a line that's made who knows where just to save a buck? Berkley has been making and perfecting trilene in America for over 75 years. I spool nothing less than the best. That's Berkley trilene, and that is a fact.
Champions aren't born, they're created. Every turn of the prop, every mile on the lake, every cast of the rod, every fish they catch, and every pound they weigh. It builds who they are. It builds a legacy.
Now for your 2016 Bassmaster Angler of the Year!
What is this meeting about again?
Fishing! Took my boat, boom, jumped over it, and I caught a giant. It was like a whale.
29 pounds, baby!
That's the last time I danced on stage.
Wow. Chief Fishing Officer.
How do I get that job?
I don't know. Go to teamgtfishing.com to find out more about my real job.
Is there a place where the underwater images are the clearest you've ever seen? We're seeing every fish, we're seeing every detail of structure, and where every bottom contour was visible, where whatever you wanted to see below the surface was real. Do you want to go? Structure Scan 3D is the future of fishing. We can show you how to find fish faster and catch fish in a way you've never experienced. Let's get them.
If you love bass fishing, then show your support by joining B.A.S.S today. Since 1968, B.A.S.S has been serving bass fishing enthusiasts with information and tournament coverage that make you a better angler. When you sign up today, you'll join over 500,000 outdoorsmen who love bass fishing. With your membership, you'll receive every issue of Bassmaster magazine, plus $50 in free gear, including a membership tackle bag, BASS cap, plus more. Log on to Bassmaster.com to join Bass today.
You're watching the Bassmaster Elite at Toledo Bend, being brought to you live by PowerPole.
Bassmaster Live at 12:35 Eastern Time. 12:35 Central Time right there at Toledo Bend. Get our time straight here. Let's synchronize our watches and take a look at the leaderboard. This is unofficial Bass Track stuff right here, but Jamie Hartman with a good, substantial 4.5-pound lead over John Murray, although 4.5. Certainly nothing that's invincible here on Toledo Bend.
It's not a lot here, but is that not the biggest lead we've seen so far?
I think it has, since we've been doing Bassmaster Live. Yeah, it's pretty impressive. Jamie Hartman going the strength of that big, huge, man, the mouth on that sucker was big, I gotta say right then. Nice, impressive bass from Jamie Hartman. And guys, what have you been working on over here?
Got a couple questions from Tweetville for Davey. Talking about crankbaits. He was asking us a little bit earlier about when the sun come up, was crankbaits going to play a bigger role today? And then another guy, Robert, was asking the difference between the square bill action and a regular crankbait.
Well, when the sun comes up, does the crankbait play a bigger factor? When we were here last year, we were here a little later. The fish were a little farther along, and Kevin Van Dam certainly proved that the crankbait was a bigger factor that year.
Oh, yeah.
This year, it hasn't been so much. It seems like in the afternoon, especially with these southern winds, there's still some fish that haven't spawned and fish that are living shallow. And it looks like the pictures that we saw, even like with John Murray and a couple of those other guys, Randy Howell, you could tell they were real close to the bank, just like Todd Faircloth is here. So this year, I'm going to say not so much, but every year is different, especially at Toledo Bend. The difference in the square bill crankbait versus not. The square bill comes over cover, comes through these trees, a place like Casey Ashley is fishing. So that's the reason a lot of guys use it. It doesn't run as deep. Typically, the square bill has a lot wider action, gives off more vibration, moves more water, makes more noise in the water. You definitely want to use that bait if the water's stained.
One thing that I'm looking at is Alton Jones quietly jumping into the top 12. And also curious about John Murray's 22-pound bag. We've seen it so many times where a 22-pound bag, 23-pound bag is actually 24, 25, or vice versa. It could only be 20 pounds. So if it's 24, 25, that lead's only 2 pounds for Jamie Hartman. If it's only 20, that could be an even bigger lead for Jamie Hartman. So
I don't know about all of Jamie Hartman's fish, but the ones we got to see, the smallest ones weren't real small, and that big fish looked bigger than 6 pounds to me. It looked closer to 7.
I think that one was logged in this morning as 6.5. So
okay.
Which is good. Which is a good. If you say that, then that's a good split in the difference there.
Good job to his marshal.
Todd Faircloth started this day in 3rd place. He has slipped down to 11th spot right now, and we just got the signal from his cameraman that he's going to have to make a little move here. It was reassuring to see a picture of any kind from Todd Faircloth as he prepares to move, hopefully move to a place where we can pick up on him again. And back out to another guy, said they expected to do well in the afternoon, Casey Ashley.
This is interesting to watch Casey fish. He's a good jig fisherman. I've known that for a long time. He's fishing a football head jig. We saw Jordan Lee fish a football head jig to perfection just a few weeks ago in the Bassmaster Classic. But if you notice, Casey is holding his rod down at 3 o'clock, parallel with the water, and just reeling the bait along real slow. And it's not a swivel head football like you have a lot of different companies make them now, a rugby head or a biffle head or whatever. There's just a lot of different ones that people use now. And you see people doing that more with that type jig, but with just a regular football head, which we saw Casey tie on a little later, it's interesting to watch the way he's just keeping his rod down and slowly reeling this bait. I'm ready to see Casey set the hook.
Absolutely.
He's got a lot of room. Alton Jones knocked him to 13th.
Wow.
He's only got 8 pounds, so he can jump right back in.
Casey Ashley's a very small limit, 5 fish for about 8 pounds. We got our Triton on the line, cranked up for you again here.
Is he going to be tailgating?
Tailgating? Is this the tailgating trip? Yeah, it looks like it. Dave Mercer, Triton on the line. We have another great crowd at Cypress Bend Park, it looks like.
Incredible, guys. It's hard to believe that our weigh-in is over 2 hours from now, and there is a crowd of people around here. But no shocker, the crazy Cajuns hanging out with the Cajun baby here. We're hanging out in front of the Shell Rotella booth, and we're gonna experience some cuisine. And what is it with this crowd? I mean, you come here this many times, Cliff. You know, we've been here 5 times the last 7 years. You would expect these Cajuns to be tired of us, but it seems like it grows every year.
It does. They show up every year. It's good fishing. You know, Toledo Bend is like the main attraction in Louisiana, I guess, for fishing. So you got good fishing, you got good people, you got good food, hanging out, you got good music, best music in the world. It's just fun. They just like to hang out no matter what. If something's going on, they just like to hang out. I say, hey, we just like to hang out. If there's nothing going on, we make an excuse just to hang out and have fun, hang with friends.
This is a unique opportunity for our Bassmaster viewers. Everybody knows the Cajun baby, but this is legitimately the real Cajun baby right here.
Yeah, that's Baby Ben. Baby Ben, who's your best friend? Who's your best friend?
Hey, Baby Ben, show our Bassmaster viewers how Daddy holds his fish on stage.
How Daddy holds his fish? Camera shy.
Hot off the classic, and you know, this opportunity to be this close to home for these many events got to be very special to you.
Yeah, it was a good opportunity to show out, I guess, you know, with my people and have a good time. Kind of disappointed this week, you know, but we go to Jackson in a couple weeks and then Rayburn, so that's 3 tournaments within 3 or 4 hours of the house, and it's right down the pipe. I should be able to get it done and have a couple good tournaments. But, you know, it's fishing. But it is cool to be able to fish in the South by the house and not have to travel 12 to 15 hours. That's the best part about it.
One of the coolest things out there has got to be the reception you receive at these events. I mean, we just talked about it a minute ago. Biggest name from Louisiana, don't take a hit on this, but Greg Hackney, and nobody gets a pop from these crazy Cajuns like you do. Why is that?
I wish I knew it. I think they just like to take care of their own, and it's a humbling deal when that happens. It's pretty special. I can talk about it here, but I can't talk about it up there. You know, with thousands of them, because it would just, I'd end up not talking about it at all. It'd just be tears. But it's humbling. That's something that you dream of, you know, back when, that you hope you can do it and build a brand and build your name and have people follow you. And it's an awesome deal when you got fans, people that are interested in what you do and how you do it. And really, I try to give them as much love as possible, whether it's, you know, walking around or social media or whatever. I try to give them the fans as much love as possible because they love me, I love them.
Well, I'm going to ask them, who's a Cajun Baby fan that can tell me why? Well, you can't be a Cajun Baby. You've been a fan for way too long. I mean, your mother can. Who is not related to Cajun Baby and can tell me why you love the Cajun Baby?
They're just a unique person, the heart he has for his fans. He appreciates us being here. He tells us about it. But he worries too much because we're here. He just don't know we coming if he's not here. But, you know, he's got to learn to accept that. We coming.
Is it true, confirm or deny, you were the football coach in Billy or in Waterboy?
No.
Could have been, though.
Cliff's uncle was.
But you could have been it, though.
Could have been. Bobby Boucher.
Can you look at can you look in that camera right now and tell our fans that this time of year the fish got no Abdullah Blongana?
The fish got no Abdullah Blongana.
Well, there you go. There you go. That is the translation from Canadian. And then this is the tailgate party. So let's go do some tailgating, Cajun Baby. Excuse me, guy. Oh, we'll sign your shirts. That's okay. He's going to take a few pictures, and we're going to make our way down to the Shell Rotella Grill, where they've been feverishly working to feed the Cajun Baby. And let's pan around while they're getting ready. Look at the sea of people here. I mean, do you guys understand that the weigh-in doesn't doesn't start for a few hours. Who is their first time ever here at this event? Anyone? This is your first time ever?
First time.
And what do you think so far?
Well, I love it. I've been trying to come to one of these for a long time. First chance I've had.
Who are you cheering for here?
Sir?
Who are you cheering for in this tournament? Who would you like to see win this title?
I kind of was hoping that Hackney would pull in, but he didn't.
I got some. He had a 7 to 9 pounder bite. A 7 to 9 pounder bite. Let me fix those glasses right there. A little. You know that happens to my glasses on stage. Nobody tells me, but I'm a friend, so I'm going to tell you. He had a 7 to 9 pounder on today, and it got off.
Yeah, that's what he was telling me. That's his luck, but he's a big fish, man. He'll catch one before the day's over, I would imagine.
He definitely will. Well, I like to hang out with you. I like to hang out with all my crazy Cajuns, but I do like to eat. And Cajun baby, let's go down here and have. Well, look who you run into right here. We ran into Freddie Boom Boom Rabanus, and Freddie, how crazy is this? I mean, it kind of feels like a Bassmaster Classic kind of vibe with all these people just hanging out here hours before the weigh-in.
It's incredible. You know, Toledo Bend's always been just one of my favorite lakes, not only for the fishing, but also the people. And it's incredible to see this. It's awesome. Obviously, I'd like to be fishing today. I know Cliff would too, but at the same time, it's like hanging out with a bunch of family.
Competition never ends between Elite Series pros and two guys who desperately wish you were out there fishing today. I'm going to give you 30 seconds. You're going to get home court advantage because this is your home. 30 seconds to give me your best excuse right now why you're not fishing. Go.
I had to get a haircut today.
That's it.
That's it. I had to get a haircut today.
You got to have something better than that.
The wind blew. The wind didn't blow. There was too much grass. There's not enough grass. You should have been here last week. You should have threw a pumpkin jig, a green pumpkin jig instead of black and blue. The list goes on and on. Toledo Bend is the best. You should have been here yesterday, lake, in the whole world.
I think his excuse is better. Let's go eat. What do we got to eat here, guys? Our friends from Shell Rotella. Well, you have quite a smorgasbord happening here.
Pork loin for y'all to try out. Some pork tenderloins, some baby back ribs. Reach in there and grab y'all a piece if y'all want to get a piece. It's good food.
Just reach in and grab it.
I got some tongue right here.
No. I mean, we don't need you. Well, there you go.
You don't need them. Taste this here. Here's some pork tenderloin.
You going pork tenderloin? Where are you going here, Cajun baby?
Pork loin first.
Oh, we got to go. We might as well try everything, right?
Try it all, right?
All right. Okay. Here
Try
we
a
go.
bite of that.
Reach in
there and get yours, man.
Earlier this year, last year, they made me dress up as America's Baby. And viewers want to know, if America's Baby, who happened to be born in Ireland and lives in Canada, but he's still America's Baby, if America's Baby were to fight the Cajun Baby, who would win?
Cajun Baby, by a landslide.
Why?
It's just the way it is. You got to accept it. Cajun Baby beats everybody, except on the water and the Elite Series.
Okay. Let's go back to my task at hand. I'm going ribs. We're going to go ribs?
Baby back ribs?
Baby back ribs. I mean, it is not a sporting event unless you're tailgating. And I mean, it just makes my job a whole lot better.
It ain't tailgating without barbecue.
That's right. It is not, as he said, it is not tailgating without barbecue. And Shell Rotella rolling out. Why is Shell Rotella so excited about being involved in this sport? Can you tell me that? I mean, it's such a great tie-in. I mean, it makes a lot of sense.
Yes, sir. It's a great tie-in. We like coming out here, seeing all the good people out here, enjoying cooking food, making everybody happy. Y'all are happy now that y'all are eating the ribs, right?
It really is the gift that keeps on giving.
Right. The flavor keeps going.
There might be a little sauce on my shirt during weigh-in, but pretty good living down here. I can see why the Cajuns are happy.
This is good stuff. Yesterday evening, Power Pole rolled out the red carpet. Boiled crawfish, steaks, fried fish, crawfish etouffee. That was kind of like, this is good stuff, and I like it. But yesterday we got a Louisiana special.
One. I didn't like this one.
You got to try
a different.
Try again.
This one might be much better.
This is good. But yesterday was the Louisiana buffet. It was good.
Buffet?
Buffet. 10 pounds. I put on 10 pounds on the buffet.
On the buffet. Is that the same as a buffet?
Same thing. It's all the same.
It's all the same. It's just Louisiana.
Making fun of me because of the way I talk.
I am not making fun of you. I'm trying to understand. I'm trying to become one with the people, okay? I am America's baby. I need to be multicultural. Tell me how to say big bass in Cajun.
Big bass, I tell you, big fish is gros poisson.
Gros poisson.
Gros poisson.
So today, you're not in the tournament, but next tournament you're in. When you bring up a one, can I say gros poisson?
They might look at you like you're funny, but I like it.
I like it. All right, Cajun baby, I'm going to let you get back to your fans. So let's go over here. The cool thing about this is I'm going to keep on eating here. And thank our friends from Shell Rotella. Incredible job they're doing. But all around this place, that's what makes this sport so special. You see Justin Lucas over here, Josh Bertrand right there. You're able to interact with these guys. There is no other sport like this where you can roll around with a big chunk of meat in your hand, and you can also interact with the best fishing pros there is out there. And I'm going to interrupt Justin Lucas right here. Excuse me, guys. Sorry to interrupt. No, I will not give you a piece of this. But you can go over to the Shell Rotella booth if you want. What are you doing over here in the Berkeley booth? And how crazy is this? Hours before this weigh-in starts, and this sea of people that showed up here.
Well, that's why we keep coming back to Toledo Bend as you munch on the rib right in front of me. You suck. This is why we keep coming back, though. I mean, obviously, man, the weigh-ins are packed, and even though the fishing's tougher this year, people are still showing up, and it's still a great part of the country to have a bass tournament. So we're just hanging out, signing autographs. I think he's wanting some of your rib, too, so... Oh, you were? Okay.
No. Nobody holds my food. You never hold another man's food.
No, I wouldn't do that. Certainly not.
Certainly not.
Yeah, but no, it's going well out here. We're just having a good time. And if you're not down here, seriously, you guys need to make your way. I mean, it's only Manny, Louisiana. Where is that? It's a long ways from anywhere.
It's a long ways from anywhere, but it is worth the drive to come down here because a lot of fun. You're watching the leaderboard, I'm sure. I know you'd love to be out there. Who do you think is going to get this? Because it does seem like, as of this morning, it's almost like nobody had it. Like so many of the people that are, even the leaders said to me, I said, do you think you're on? He said, I don't know. He says, I really feel like I could go out and hammer him today, but I really feel there's a possibility I won't catch him. Is there anybody? You got any little sneak nuggets or anything that we need to do this week?
Dude, I'm a little puff at my fishing now, if you can. I've been watching the Matters leaderboard and this leaderboard. I mean, honestly, it's just at that point right now, I want to go out there and to myself. But if I'm pulling for anybody in the top 12 right now, I got to pull for boy BP, and it's Casey Ashley. And he's on to, if he can bust him this afternoon, he's the one you got to look out for. So those two go. I mean, hey, everybody up 12. Brett Hitte, we all for him too. So you never know.
Now, you brought it up, the Masters, and I'm a little upset, and just shout out to B.A.S.S. I mean, I don't care about golf ever, except for 1 week a year, the Masters. Yeah. And generally on the couch this week, you are from a multi-talented family. Your brother actually...
He qualified for PGA Canada. So he's playing in Canada. You love that.
Wow. Well, tell him come on over.
You go eat ribs and drink beer and time.
That is a done deal. It's a done deal. Guaranteed we will eat. And I'm going to let you guys, I got some business here. Thank you very much, Lucas. And on down here if you're anywhere close to it. Not the weigh-in. It is spectacular. Come on with me. We'll move on over here and see if we can get a little bit better sit for you guys because there is a lot of fun going on here. And, see this bad boy right here? There's a big chunk of meat, and we're going to see meat across that stage. This tournament has turned into a big fish showdown. You got that big bite, and it can make or change your tournament. But this has made my tournament. This has made my tournament. Back to you, Tommy. Davey.
All right, thank you, Dave Mercer.
The catering's good in Little Rock.
It is that good. It's not quite that good in Little Rock. We're eating peanuts here. Hey, Dave Mercer with a celly, if you will, of bass fishing and Louisiana food that is the weigh-in scene there at Toledo Bend. I mean, if you want to go grab some great food, you're in that part of the country, you can do a lot worse than that food fair they got going down there in addition to what he's showing. I mean, you can get the red beans and rice, you can get the gumbo in there, crabs, they got boudin sausage, all that good stuff from South Louisiana. People know how to eat down there. They get the groceries together for this event right here.
They certainly do, Tommy. I have to admit, I miss being down there because those folks know how to eat good and have a good time, that's for sure.
Throw some Tony Satchery night on top of that, man. You just...
He made mud bugs last night.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. A little movement. Jamie Hartman culled twice. He's closer to 20 pounds and got a 6-pound lead.
Wow.
We haven't seen him on camera since that sight fishing. Male bass he caught right there.
If he's culled twice, he's probably culled that fish.
Oh, yeah.
That eases
right.
my mind about that. I was
should-
afraid that he might catch a big one late in the day, open that live well, and that fish not be looking good. But
Well, that was what he also said before he caught that sight fish to cull. Said he had 2 small fish that size. So getting rid of one of them, he said, I need to get rid of one more. So he got rid of that one more and that one he just got off the bed. So
Yep.
And he replaced one of those with a 4-pounder.
you always like doing that.
Oh, man. Again, 6 pounds, 5 ounces, a lead at, Toledo Bend. But it's tough this year. It's a little tougher.
It's
That's
definitely
significant, right?
Casey Ashley moved up to 8th place. He caught another one. He's got a 10-pound limit, but he knocked our James Elam out of the top 10. He's 13th now.
So Casey has caught one since he moved back to the area that he caught his fish yesterday
Fast track
afternoon.
is showing, yeah. He just caught one. It's up to 10 pounds.
I think I saw Casey rigging a Carolina rig, got it up off the deck or out of the box. I hadn't seen him throw a Carolina rig today, and he'd been reeling that jig really slow along the bottom and we didn't see him get any bites on the jig. Let's see here if he's got, yeah, I can tell I didn't see the bait, but I can tell the way he made the cast. He's throwing a Carolina rig. Which Jacob Wheeler said this morning, as low as you can go for some reason. I don't know why.
Right there, your classic coverage that we've alluded to earlier today, next Saturday, April 15th from 7 to 10 a.m. Eastern Time, and then see the finals and more. The next day, Sunday, 10 to noon Eastern Time. There's the re-airs coming up for you, April 22nd and April 23rd. So ample chances to check it out and see the rest of the story from Lake Conroe.
Don't need to miss that.
No, that was a good one.
After Edwin Evers won in dramatic fashion last year, I thought, I don't know if we can ever top that, but what Jordan Lee did on the final day, if it doesn't top it, it comes really, really close. I think maybe it tops Edwin's comeback last year. Obviously, it does the greatest comeback ever, but it was just so dramatic last year and this year, the way they did it on the final day. And
back to back, it's quite remarkable.
It's like Casey picked that jig back up.
Jordan Lee, a young man who was expected to win and win soon on the Bassmaster Elite Series, has yet to notch that Bassmaster Elite Series win, but he'll take this one as his first win.
Speaking of jig, Jordan Lee caught all of his big fish the final day on a jig. On one spot, he seemed like he was having your worst nightmare kind of luck on the final day. He had a little mechanical trouble and had to idle the last mile or so to get to his best spot, and it turned out to be the best thing that has happened to him in his young career, to be patient and stay on that one spot and catch that big old bag of 27 pounds to win the Bassmaster Classic.
It's been 10 years of the Carhartt Bassmaster College Series, and we always wonder, when would we have one of those graduates, one of those guys to matriculate his way through that to win a Bassmaster Elite Series event or a Classic? And he turned out to be the guy, to no one's surprise.
The first one, but I'll guarantee you he won't be the last one. A lot of great anglers come on up through the Carhartt College Series.
We saw the poise of John Garrett. Not the best finish, but he did finish, I believe, in the mid-30s in the Classics. But he's one of those guys, quiet guy, but he handles himself and holds himself real well for a 21-year-old college kid.
Now let me ask you this one. You fished the Bassmaster Classic, one of the greatest ever at Lake Conroe. How do you get yourself all fired up for say the Eastern Regional as he goes back to the Carhartt College Bassmaster Series?
That's the crazy thing. He's the first college angler I believe, to fish the College Series, the Opens, and he fished the Classic. He's doing all of them this year. He's not taking a break from college and doing it, but he definitely said, it's a letdown to fish the College Series after, but he knows now I can get back to the Classic this year. I can, qualify through the college ranks again.
Yeah.
And that's just even more motivation now that he's familiar. You want to get back, just like Davey probably knows as a pro, you can't go to the Classic enough times.
No. When he starts thinking it's a letdown to go back to the College Series, he's got to remember that's how he got to the Classic.
Exactly.
And it's his next door to the. It's his next door that'll open up to the Opens.
Got a Jacob Wheeler, a little bit of a freeze up type picture there. James Elam on the left. We'll get back to these guys. Still waiting for the big fish of the afternoon to show up here on Toledo Bend. Maybe they'll all show up tomorrow. We're going to start in the morning with some more Bassmaster Live for you at 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. A morning session, 12:30 in the afternoon to 3:30 in the afternoon Eastern Time for our afternoon session. Bassmaster Live with the big finale from Toledo Bend. We will crown our champion a little bit later at the weigh-in.
Man, it's slow today.
Yep.
Mom, I caught a fish. Good job, sweetie.
Hey, what kind of lure is that?
It's a Livingston. They have electronic bait fish sounds that activate as soon as they hit the water. Easiest way to catch a fish.
Hey, thanks.
The competition is fierce and the prizes are huge. The only thing missing is you. Fantasy Fishing presented by Toyota. Sign up for free and face fans from across the nation. Grand prize winner receives a Triton Yamaha package, including a Triton 189 TRX. MSRP of $37,293. The Classic and each individual Elite Event winner will receive $2,500 Bass Pro Shops gift cards, with the runner-up receiving a GoPro Hero 4 black camera. Sign up and pick your team today at Bassmasterfantasy.com.
Tennessee, how's everybody doing today? We are excited to get this season kicked off. It all starts here.
Barely hooked, dude. Barely hooked. Yes! Yeah! That's what I'm talking about. Stay down, stay down. Stay down, open your mouth, open your mouth. Yes! Thank you. Yeah! That's a big one. That's for you, Mama! How about that right there now? Woo! Yes! Yes! Yes!
Bassmaster Elite Series champion, Jacob Wheeler.
Bassmaster Elite second event for 2017 at legendary Lake Okeechobee. So much tradition here and so many amazing eye-popping results.
Yeah, buddy's right. Yes! Yes! Give me some high five on that! Yes! Let's take a closer look at that one. I never flipped a fish that big before, I don't think. Woo! Stay hooked.
Becomes
You know that feeling you get when you save money on parts without having to jump through any hoops, track points, or make a bunch of extra trips to the store? Yeah, that's the one. Introducing Speed Perks from Advance Auto Parts, a rewards program for guys who love getting under the hood. No cards, no points, no nonsense.
You're watching the Bassmaster Elite at Toledo Bend, being brought to you live by Power Pole.
Bassmaster Elite Series number 3 on Toledo Bend, presented by Econo Lodge. The man who started the day with the lead, New York State's Jamie Hartman. 58 pounds and 5 ounces over 2.5 plus days of fishing. John Murray, West Coast guy from Arizona, following behind, but a good bit of margin to make up. 6.5 pounds Jamie Hartman's got over him. Jason Christie hanging in there. Brandon Palaniuk, big move today along with Randy Howell and John Cruz. Things have been popping all over the lake. Let's take a look at the brief chance we had to hang with Jamie Hartman for a little while, and this is what he did in short order.
Said he was just going down the bank and saw this bedding fish, and on the third pitch he caught it, and definitely inside the mouth, Tommy.
Yep, absolutely.
We were a little concerned because he hooked that fish deep, but just a few minutes later we got news that he had culled 2 fish, so that fish is out of the live well, probably doing just fine.
He got some treatment and got sent back home, so that's a good outcome for the fish there.
Todd Fairclough's moved around a little bit. He's farther down south than we've seen him earlier in the day, out on the main lake, and yesterday afternoon said he caught his biggest 2 fish in the last hour, so have to keep an eye on him.
James Elam started his day in second place. He has fallen out of the top 12, as a matter of fact, at this point, so James Elam in need of a couple of good keepers. Something he can cull with and something he can fill out his limit with.
Looks like we got Jacob Wheeler looking to spawning fish. It's really, the guys you've seen move, even though we don't have cameras on them, they're guys that like to sight fish. Except maybe Jason Christie, and we know he's fishing shallow, but maybe just not sight fishing. Fishing up there on the northwest edge of the corner of Toledo Bend, and just not good service up that way. Yesterday when we saw him, he had a frog in his hand. I know he was feeling real comfortable.
Yesterday I actually saw a video that he posted, or that was posted online, and talking about how Christie said he was throwing a frog for those. He was throwing a frog for those sight fish, even though he wasn't actually sight fishing. He said those bedding fish often defend off brim and perch and different things, and he says throwing that frog and working it fast over top of their heads just can annoy them. So if you make multiple casts over an area you think there could be a bed, you can end up catching sight fish on a frog just they're trying to kill it, which was interesting.
Yep. Probably a lot of those fish are males that they're still around the nest guarding fry. And at Toledo Bend, like we saw with Jacob Wheeler, he was fishing for a male that was acting squirrely.
Yeah.
But he said it's a 4-pound fish. So Jason Christie could be just catching a lot of males. The one fish he caught on the first day certainly wasn't a male, a 9-pounder. But probably catching a lot of males with quality size. You could come in with 5 males that weigh 20 pounds on Toledo Bend real easily.
And guys, from the last break, we have some updates. Some marshals have been funneling in, trying to get back to us. Geddes Brandon from the media trailer, Lakeside, texted me that Iconelli, who has 0 on Bass Track, has 4 fish for 7 pounds, which doesn't seem like a lot, but it'll move him from 42nd place up to around the top 25. So one more to fill his limit, and you never know how big it could be to get up there. Also, Gerald Swindle only has 4 on Bass Track, but confirmed his marshal said he has 5, and he's locked on a big one on bed right now trying to get it to bite. Same with Jason Williamson.
Casey's hooked up.
Get out of there. Oh, goodness. Big one. Golly.
Oh, wow. Ooh.
I wouldn't up that many. I know my line's frayed. Ooh. Come on now. Quit all that.
Oh, there we go.
That's what I'm talking about. Pretty fish there. Call it 4.5. Y'all come undone now. Y'all clones, man. Clones and not very big.
One on is left. It goes back.
Slow and steady. Yeah, man, I set the hook on her. I could tell I was wrapped up, and then I could see her flashing down there, and my line's over here, and the fish is over here. Make you nervous.
Casey told me last night he was throwing a football head jig with a zoom Z-crawl and green pumpkin. That's exactly what it looked like he took out of that fish's mouth.
You couldn't really tell how bad that could have been on camera, I can promise you. she was wrapped up about 15 foot from my hook. I was just like, oh goodness, this ain't good.
It's going to be the big fish of the day for Casey Ashley, and after having fallen down almost to the bottom of the top 12, he's got some much needed space between himself and a few marauders who are looking to crash the party down there in that 12, 13, 14
I know we've been waiting for him to do that all day, but look at the time. It's only 1:19. He said yesterday he called all of his big fish after 1 o'clock, so really and truly he's right on schedule. Hope we get to see a few more of those.
Unofficially, that'll move him up, roughly 3 pounds. So it'll move him up to almost 50 pounds for his total so far into 5th place. Looking at his weight right now. Oh.
Okay, we got James Elam hooked up on the right there. We're having some camera difficulties, much as we had with Casey Ashley there. Stay with us.
Nice fish there.
Not a bit better than what I had.
Fourth fish, fourth keeper, as we see it for James Elam. So a much needed fish for him.
Climbed to 7th and knocked Todd Faircloth out of the top 12.
I don't think the knocking is done for today either.
Oh no, there'll be plenty back and forth
knock
there.
action later on today.
And like we talked about, it's real important in this tournament in particular to get in the 10th, 11th, 12th place spot, because any of those guys have a chance to win this thing tomorrow. And there's going to be a really good fisherman that think, man, I maybe could have won this thing if I'd been able to fish one more day. Might finish in 13th, 14th place.
What I was saying was Casey with that coal, 4.5 pounder, roughly. That replaces a 1.5 pounder, and he's got 2 more 1.5 pounders in the live well. So Casey Ashley 4.5 gives him a 3 pound upgrade unofficially, and it'll definitely, he's still got plenty of room to grow.
You ever been in that situation, David, where you didn't get a limit like Elam, Faircloth, and Hyde are looking at right now? They're still short and missed the cut, top 12, or?
It's unusual. The Classic, geez, it's so crazy. The winner didn't catch a limit 2 of the 3 days.
Yeah.
Usually the guys that are in that top 12, they're surefire got limits. Lake Conroe and here at Toledo Bend, it's crazy the way, it's the size of the fish, and maybe the numbers just aren't as good as they have been here on Toledo Bend and Conroe, but quality fish, and that's why you have a chance for people to move from farther down to win or to just make that final day and give yourself a chance, just like Jordan Lee did. Unusual. I don't know if I've ever had that happen, that I came really, really close to making a 12 cut but didn't have a limit. It's unusual. These guys are so good throughout the country. Catching limits normally not the problem, just upgrading little by little, but.
All right.
Can you show us your lure and what you're doing here?
I'm just throwing a 3/4 ounce football jig. And the reason I'm throwing such a heavy bait, I mean, I'm fishing a flat. It's like 6 to 9 foot out here. A little depression in between two high spots. But it's just scattered timber all out in here. Some of it's broke, you know, lay down. Some of it's standing. That's what they're on. You can't see it, so you gotta throw and find it. That's why I'm throwing this 3/4, because I can move it a little faster and still keep contact with the bottom. You can see I'm slow rolling it about like a spinnerbait. But every one of the fish, you know, either I'll come over something and get bit, or I'll pull it up to a stump. One just bit it right there. Knocked it to me.
Tommy, let's go with Yamaha Taste the Bait. Casey Ashley, I got lucky there, and he gave me some good information last night, so I know a lot about it. He's fishing a 3/4 ounce football head jig, green pumpkin, and a green pumpkin Zoom Z-Crawl trailer. And the way he's fishing, I noticed this morning we talked about his rod being laid down, and he's reeling this bait slow, a little bit faster than he was fishing that spinnerbait this morning, but not a whole lot. Obviously, with a jig, you don't have the blades to lift up off the bottom, and he talked about the bait this morning was up. That's why he was throwing that spinnerbait to just try to catch a few fish. But he made his day yesterday throwing that jig after 1 o'clock, and you just heard him say there he just had another one bite it, but didn't keep it in his mouth. But Casey Ashley is not done for the day. It's unusual. We watched Jordan Lee fish the football head jig to win the Classic, and he was lifting his rod, keeping
dragging the bottom,
keeping contact with the bottom. Casey's keeping contact with the bottom.
If you stop a football jig fishing at this shallow too, you just stay hung. That's why I keep it moving. Plus, I can cover more water. Can't wind it quite as fast as a crankbait, but almost.
Good point there.
A lot better than dragging it.
If you weren't watching this morning, sorry, Tommy.
No, go ahead.
If you weren't watching this morning, we saw him pick up a crankbait because he didn't feel comfortable throwing a jig early in the morning because he didn't think the fish were on the bottom quite as well. But the reason he's casting this jig and the reason it's 3/4 ounce, he's covering water. But unlike Jordan Lee sitting on one spot that he knew was the sweet spot that he saw a school of fish come up on the day before, those fish had positioned on this point. Casey's covering water, not a big area. But he's
you fine and go around you.
He's covering water, but he's looking for the wood, the trees. There's not a lot of timber where he's at, but there is scattered trees and logs, and he doesn't know every single inch of this place. So what he's doing, he's searching with this bait like you can do with a crankbait. But the football head jig is always good to catch big fish. We learned that from Jordan Lee. Yeah. But then also, it comes once he makes contact with a piece of wood, he's less likely to get hung.
Now this is the conventional football head, not the swivel head like Fort Gibson was one, Tommy Biffle, that sort of thing.
And normally when you see folks reeling this bait, searching with like Tommy Biffle, you see him with his rod in its position when he's fishing that swivel head jig. But Casey's doing it with not the swivel head, a regular football head, and I'll be interested in, hopefully I'll get to talk to him again tonight and get his theory on why he thinks this jig is better than the swivel head doing what he's doing here with the 3/4 ounce jig.
Now the swivel, Jordan Lee had that mixed in the mix, did he not, or no? Or was it conventional?
I think it was conventional. Right. Yep. Half-ounce mop jig. Jordan Lee was using a 1/2 ounce. Casey's using a 3/4.
On the left, James Elam again, still having trouble with that camera there, but he does have what we understand a fish on. Something bust loose any second. Maybe we can see some of that video information.
James Elam is saying, I'm not going to let these guys knock me out of the top 12.
No, he's
just when he was dropping out of it, bam, bam, he's got his second. This will be his 5th fish?
If he did catch a fish, it would have been his 5th, but we don't think that he was. Yeah, he might not have been hooked up.
That fish Casey just caught, I'm sure helped his confidence a whole lot. Looking at his watch, knowing yesterday about this same time, and that's his biggest fish he's had on all day.
Upped his confidence and made him feel like he dodged a bullet there. He's describing seeing his fish about 12 feet away from where his hook was flailing around there.
He said the camera couldn't do that justice because had his line around a piece of wood, a tree, and the fish was 15 feet away.
It looked like a lot easier.
Yeah, this was a difference maker, and like you say, Davey, right on time. Right on time. Casey's schedule's been going.
Oh, goodness.
Said that fish had him wrapped up when he set the hook about 15 feet away from where his line was around a piece of wood. And you know your day's headed in the right direction when you're able to land those fish. So often those fish will break you off or pull off or get hung up in that tree, but he was able to land it.
4:15 p.m. Eastern Time. Don't forget that time. That's when the weigh-in starts, your crucial weigh-in. Cypress Bend Park, this Toledo Bend Bassmaster Elite Series event. The 12 who will pass on to day number 4 is when that will be decided. 4:15 p.m. Eastern Time. Dave Mercer cranks it up. Big crowd. Going to be a lot of fun. A celly, if you will, of bass fishing. We'll have that for you later.
The Bassmaster Elite at Toledo Bend is brought to you by Shell Rotella, Yamaha, Triton Boats, Toyota, Power Pole, and by Skeeter Boats.
Facts matter. All monofilament is not the same. Berkley is the strongest, smoothest, most dependable monofilament line in the world. Why would you risk your fishing trip to a line that's made who knows where just to save a buck? Berkley has been making and perfecting trilene in America for over 75 years. I spool nothing less than the best. That's Berkley trilene, and that is a fact.
Champions aren't born, they're created. Every turn of the prop, every mile on the lake, every cast of the rod, every fish they catch, and every pound they weigh. It builds who they are. It builds a legacy.
Now for your 2016 Bassmaster Angler of the Year!
Hey, thanks, Dave. Out of office? Oh, man.
Hi, this is Skeet.
Skeet, out of office?
Dude, don't be mad because I thought of it.
What?
I gotta go. I got someone on the other line. Go to teamgtfishing.com to check out my real job.
We're supposed to be working!
I am working!
Is there a place where the underwater images are the clearest you've ever seen? We're seeing every fish, we're seeing every detail of structure, and where every bottom contour was visible, where whatever you wanted to see below the surface was real. Do you want to go? Structure Scan 3D is the future of fishing. We can show you how to find fish faster and catch fish in a way you've never experienced. Let's get them.
If you love bass fishing, then show your support by joining B.A.S.S today. Since 1968, B.A.S.S has been serving bass fishing enthusiasts with information and tournament coverage that make you a better angler. When you sign up today, you'll join over 500,000 outdoorsmen who love bass fishing. With your membership, you'll receive every issue of Bassmaster magazine, plus $50 in free gear, including a membership tackle bag, B.A.S.S cap, plus more. Log on to Bassmaster.com to join Bass today.
You're watching the Bassmaster Elite at Toledo Bend, being brought to you live by Power Pole.
Bassmaster Live, our final hour. We are underway with it right now. An hour and more of fishing left out on the lake there, but we get you very close to weigh-in time. That's our Bass Track estimated weights right now, and Jamie Hartman still with a good, solid lead over the John Murray, the streaking John Murray, who has shot into the top 12 and then on up into the second spot. Jason Crispy having a very solid day as well. Brandon Polinick on the move, and Randy Howell and John Cruz. Elton Jones mentioned as sneaking into that top 12 too. Brett Hite now in the 12th place. Brett Hite, who was second place after the first day of fishing here. Brett Hite now in danger of falling out of there because there's a lot of tough customers right below him.
In case Ashley, I mentioned this morning, when you hear him talk with confidence, you don't hear that a lot from Casey unless he really feels good about what he's found and what he did, and found out the reason why he caught basically all the fish he weighed in the last hour yesterday. This morning got ahead of the game and put some fish in the live well on a spinnerbait. 3 or 4, I think it was.
Yes.
Missed a few more. He said, we're eating the bait really, really well, but I think this one ate it real good. Good 2.5, 2 3/4 pound fish this morning.
I don't know how much gas he burned getting up here, but that's the only gas he's going to burn, that and back, because he hasn't moved from this spot all day long. He's been pinned down here.
Another spinnerbait fish. This morning he said the shad were up high in the water column. He had caught most of his fish he weighed in. I think maybe all of them on a jig yesterday, but this morning he noticed, looking at his graph, that the fish were up higher. So he caught those on spinnerbait, but
Get out of there. Oh, goodness. Big one. Golly.
good call there for Casey.
That fish hasn't been updated on his
That's what I'm
bass
talking
track on
about.
that leaderboard. He should be 5th place.
Pretty pleased there.
All right, Casey Ashley up into 5th place, kind of out of danger of losing that top 12 position there for the time being. Let's hit a little Dick CPAC Tires and Wheels Bassmaster Elite Series trivia. Which angler never had a live camera in their boat at Toledo Bend last year? So, would it be Rick Clunn, Keith Combs, Paul Mueller, or Hank Cherry?
Well, I know it's not Hank Cherry because I was able to tune in a little bit with you guys. I saw a lot of Hank Cherry.
Hank Cherry was all we had, I think, the final afternoon, working basically a single boat dock and another little point there.
This is a good one.
We're going to do this now? Or
Not easy.
Okay, Rick.
Never had a live camera. I'm going to narrow it down. Say or B.
Yes, somebody guess.
I'm going A.
I'm going to go with B.
All right.
It's A or B. What you think, Tommy?
Folks at home? I'll go with B too.
You guys are on it
You
today.
guys are good.
Wow.
Man.
Good.
Bam, bam.
And Keith Combs had a really good final day last year.
He absolutely did.
Trick was Clunn was 2nd place after day 1.
Paul Mueller had a pretty good little run too on that final day. If you recall.
But I
northeast
remembered,
part of the lake.
I remembered seeing a camera on him.
Yep.
Those other two stumps.
Back to Casey Ashley live.
Casting this 3/4 ounce football jig. 6 to 9 feet of water, he told us. I thought he was in that mid-depth range, and he is. Casting around on this hard bottom area, just trying to make contact with wood laying on the bottom, stumps, that sort of thing, where it's there, it's hooked up again.
Ah, another big one had me wrapped up, broke off. God! Watch, you'll see him in a minute. You ain't gonna jump. Price you pay, fishing all this timber. There it is right there, 3-pounder. Makes me feel better it wasn't them great old big one. Because it was in a tree that I caught that big one in yesterday.
A little update, Gerald Swindle was posted up on that bedfish. He ended up catching it. Looked to be a 4-pounder to 4 to 5-pounder.
That photo's going to be up in a blog in a minute. It's pretty impressive looking.
Casey Ashley getting a little payback maybe for getting that earlier fish that he felt he didn't quite deserve.
Luckily, this one wasn't quite as big as the other one.
We've seen some guys, Mike Sukons gave me some great info and added some in as well. We've seen, look at the rises and falls from day 1 Angler of the Year standings to day 2 after weigh-in yesterday. We've seen the rise and fall of some of these guys in the points, and a couple, if you look at the top, we see Casey, obviously, rookie Mark Daniels, he's improved his AOI position. Skeet Reese did as well, and Seth Fighter showing out great this week. But some of the falls are really, really almost impressive to say, you know, how big they've fallen. But Josh Bertrand, 3rd in Angler of the Year after day 1, dropped to 24th. Randall Tharp, surprisingly, zeroed yesterday. Had to confirm that to make sure he didn't have any other problems that he actually zeroed yesterday. Toledo threw these guys a curveball.
109th.
Toledo threw these guys a curveball this week, and you can see by the points fluctuation early in the year. And that last one, Alton Jones Jr., his father's in the top 12 right now, but that fall is Alton Jones Jr.
Yeah, Duckett finished 102nd, and Alton Jones Jr. was 103rd.
Randall Tharp, yeah. Randall Tharp, most guys top 5.
He did
top
great.
5 to do well here.
He did great in 2014 when it was a sight fishing deal. But like Davey said this week, fish are in so many phases and on the move. So where if you're not where they're coming to, it could be like a desert. It seems.
One of the things that makes this lake so great is because of its size. It also makes it easy to miss them in 2 days. And you have one bad day, one of those 2 days, you zig when you should have zagged, and it's over. You have to go home.
Conway, you miss them in the morning, you can investigate 5 or 6 other possibilities around the lake.
Right.
Not so here.
Davey, how was your record on Toledo Bend?
I don't want to talk about that right now.
I know.
Later. Let's watch Casey. Casey's keeping his rod down, reeling his bait. He says slow rolling, looking for a piece of wood. And when he makes contact with the wood, you see he raises his rod up, gives the jig a little shake there. That's when I get tense, and I'm sure he does, once he does come in contact with one of those logs laying on the bottom or stumps. He's got a few boats around him, you see. Couple other anglers, not real close to him, but in the area.
If you're just joining us, Casey Ashley here just caught a 4.5 pounder in the last 30 minutes, and then followed it up breaking off what he deemed about a 3 pounder.
Yep. And he called it. He said, keep watching, you're going to see him in a minute.
Yeah.
So many times when you break a fish off like that, you've got the fish hooked and then your line breaks, the fish will come up and shake the bait, and this it adds insult to injury, especially if it's a real big one.
Just saw Mike McClellan come across the blog. The email just got sent in, and Mike McClellan had a big one. Looked to be at least a 5 pounder.
He's one of those guys we didn't get anything on for the longest time today, right?
Yes, on Bass Track it still says he has 2 fish for, I think, about as much as that fish just weighed. So that'll jump him up a solid, 20 spots. Yeah, he has 2 for 5.5, and that fish 4.5 to 5 will jump him all the way up from 44th to roughly the top 25.
And we got our day 2 second place guy, Brett Height, listed as 12th place right now. Such, yesterday, Bowman sent me a detailed email about what was going on with Brett. Is he even with Brett Height today? Have we missed any messages, any sort of telegrams or passenger pigeon messages about Brett Height? Because we're hurting for information about him.
I haven't talked to Mr. Bowman today. and I don't think he's following him, as a matter of fact.
I think he's the one who's on Hartman.
Oh, okay.
Him and Jim
All right.
Sexton are on Hartman.
Showing there, Casey's certainly had some success here before at Toledo Bend, a 5th place finish in 2014. 2016, 51st. I'm not sure if they paid 51 or 50. He might have been the first guy out last year.
I believe he would have been the first guy out last year, but he's gotten two top 12s in his 4 trips here. So he's trying to get 3 out of 5 this week.
Right now looking good. If you're looking at Bass Track now, I don't think it reflects his most recent catch. He's actually figured to be in 5th place now, not 9th place as it says right now, currently on Bass. So there's the proper weights right there, the update.
And one thing to keep in mind here, he said he's casting this football jig, a heavy jig, reeling on slow, looking for the wood and finding the trees. But he also heard him say, that's the tree I caught the 6-pounder in yesterday. So the more time he spends in this area with his jig, he's marking waypoints, he's following trails. He will learn more and more about this flat, and he'll be able to make more precise casts and not waste time looking for the wood. Every hour that he spends out on this flat, he'll learn more and more about it and be more dialed in tomorrow.
Kind of dialed in already. He seems to have just about all the trees numbered out there. It's like those people tracking cougars out in California.
I got a question for you, Davey, from Mark. I can't say his last name. Do you think it's bad to change the direction of a fighting fish on a crankbait that it could shake your hooks?
Change the direction? I just try to, well, there's a lot that could go in there. If I'm fishing like where Casey Ashley is, I'm gonna put a lot of pressure on that fish and try to get it coming to the boat as quick as I can.
Get it out of the little timber.
Yeah, because you got timber everywhere and that's danger for that fish to get hooked up and break your line. If I'm in open water, I fight that fish like we saw Jacob Wheeler fight the fish yesterday. Very gingerly, just let the fish wear down, get it up to the boat. So in open water, the answer would be no, but in the case of being around timber like Casey is here, I'm gonna put a lot of pressure on that fish, probably be using heavier line and maybe a little stronger rod to try to get that fish closer to the boat as quick as I can.
All right. How about this one? Is it the varying skills and preferences of the anglers or the stage of the fish that we're seeing all these different tactics being used?
Well, I was about to go there. That's a great question. The few fish that we've seen on live caught on a crankbait, the fish like Jacob was having them pull out tricks out of the hat to get the fish to even bite, and then they've got it out here. It's just immediate post spawn or right around the spawn time when it would be a lot easier for Casey to throw a crankbait here. Even if he'd get hung up some, he could still be more efficient and have more presentations to these pieces of wood with the crankbait. But so much like Jordan Lee in the Bassmaster Classic. He found those fish. He caught one big one on a Strike King crankbait, but he ended up having to use a jig and fish it slowly to get those fish to bite. And it's all about the mood that the fish are in, right around the spawn.
You got to just adjust to what the fish are telling you, like everybody says.
Lots and lots of different approaches, lots of baits out there. We have to sit down and write them down at some point just to get a number there.
Yeah, that's why we have a boat full of tackle, a garage full of tackle, and And then you got a place you hide the rest of it from your wife so she don't realize how much tackle you have.
And yet when you find the ideal thing, you've only got 2 of them left. Why is that always the case?
Or they don't make it anymore.
Or they don't make it anymore.
You want to ask your buddy that you're competing against if he's got a few, but you don't want to tell him the bait that you're catching him so good on. It can be a dilemma there. Casey looks like he's just north of the takeoff on the west side.
Getting that wind coming out from the southwest today, steady all day long, just about at that speed. It has not varied a whole lot.
Where we're showing him there on the map certainly could be, that 4.5 pounder looked almost like a 5 pounder to me. That fish could potentially be still a pre-spawn fish, but he could catch all kinds right there where he's sitting, right at the mouth of this creek, close to the main river channel, not too far out. And even though we've had such a mild winter, there will definitely be fish still spawning at Toledo Bend in May. So certainly know they're not all done.
Casey Ashley from Donald, South Carolina. Don't know if he's had any time to work on his music lately or not. I know he's been kind of doubling down on his fishing the past 3 or 4 years.
He really has, but because I don't live very far away from him and we're friends every once in a while in the off season this winter, and the last few winters he'll do a little singing by the campfire at my river cabin, and I'm gonna tell you, it doesn't get much better than that. Casey Ashley can sing.
He has got a voice. There's no doubt about it.
Right before my oldest son, Parker, was deployed to Afghanistan, he requested Casey come sing at the river cabin, and we had another special guest, Kevin Van Dam, came by.
Oh, man.
It was, it sure was a great evening to spend right before our son was going to have to go over to Afghanistan for about 9 months. Guys that busy schedules, Casey's busy, Kevin's busy, you know, we stay busy even in off season with sponsors, but to take time to do that, it certainly was a special afternoon.
It means a lot, doesn't it?
Sure does.
Kevin known more for his fishing than his singing.
Yes. Pretty good around a campfire though, with a lot of other people. Just don't sing quite as loud as Casey.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, David, we got a question from our friend at the Masters, Bill Durham.
Oh, right. The Masters. Yeah, works in the production truck there on the TV show.
Yeah, he's been following us for some years now. He's asking if you think Casey saw those fish on his electronics or saw the feature and then checked that out and then realized that the fish were in there.
He probably saw the features. The hard bottom will definitely show up on his electronics, and then you see that scattered wood and that mid-depth range that I think a lot of these fish at Toledo Bend are at. And he targeted that. The problem with the fish in that depth not really wanting to bite the crankbaits, if you can cover so much more water with a crankbait, you can find these fish, but you can go right through these fish with a crankbait. They're not wanting to bite it. So you have to fish slow, and that's how a guy like Randall Tharp can have such a bad day. When you know you have to slow down, but you want to cover more water. So there's a dilemma there.
Now, do we know what pound test? Todd Woods is asking what pound test that Casey's using there.
I'll find that out for tomorrow, but I'm betting 17, maybe even 20 pound tests around this heavy cover.
Is he here for the rest of the day?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. I certainly would be.
Yeah.
And the neat thing, we're looking at the map where he's at. That's a place that fish are going to be coming and going today, tonight, tomorrow. So even if he catches what's there right at the moment in this little general area, 2 or 3 more nice 5 to 8, 10 pound fish we're here at Toledo Bend could move right up in the same area overnight. When I'm fishing a small area like this, I try to think about the surveys that show bass swim all the way across the lake in just a matter of hours.
Yeah,
keep in mind they can swim across the lake to me.
That's right, yeah.
Because when they want to...
Not much of a stretch.
No, it's not. When they want to move, they certainly can cover a lot of ground in a short time. And this time of year, the reason it's so tough for some guys to catch a limit, the fish are moving around a lot.
Another statistic you might want to keep in mind as you watch along with us, the one we mentioned earlier, by far the greatest percentage of the share lunkers, the 13 pluses, come out of Toledo Bend, happen right this time of year.
Good point.
Could happen at any time. I'm just saying.
Be a good day to catch a share lunker. On live?
Yeah.
We got good coverage of the guy that caught the biggest stringer yesterday, so it certainly can happen.
Where we need to be.
Well, we had a 10-minute lull on Bass Track, and then Jacob Wheeler called up another 1.5 pounds or so.
Who's that?
Jacob Wheeler. So he's back to 6th.
Constant changing up and down that leaderboard. Again, it is unofficial and maybe a tad less reliable than usual just because of inconsistent signals. The phone signal is what we rely upon to get those Bass Track numbers posted. Bass Live coming up your way tomorrow, 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. That's our first 3-hour segment, and 12:30 to 3:30, both Eastern Time. That's Bass Live tomorrow. We'll have it for you 6 hours worth. Take our back to the last half hour.
Man, it's slow today.
Yep.
Mom, I caught a fish.
Good job, sweetie.
Hey, what kind of lure is that?
It's a Livingston. They have electronic bait fish sounds that activate as soon as they hit the water. Easiest way to catch a fish.
Hey, thanks.
From Phoenix, Arizona, B. Height, Brett Height. Known to many of the locals as B. Hite. B. Hite caught him big yesterday, 24-11, backs it up with 13 pounds, 2 ounces, and takes the lead with 37 pounds and 13 ounces. A little tougher day today, but due to that incredible day yesterday, he goes back into the lead.
Yeah, you know, really, everybody says the day after the front's always the worst. It's usually 2 days after the front because then it gets dead slick calm and high skies. And, you know, I caught plenty of fish today, but as you talk to anybody out here right now, it's hard to catch a limit of like all 4-pounders. You know, usually all those big bags that you saw yesterday and today, they're usually backed up with a big one. And I just never had any of those big bites. Caught every single thing that bit. You know, just excited to go fishing tomorrow. I know I'm doing the right thing to catch a big stringer, and you know, it's hopefully if things come together, hopefully it'll be my turn. But just go out there and fish hard, and hopefully get a couple of those key bites, and that's really what it's all about here on Toledo Bend. But you know, great crowd for Friday. Want to say hi to everybody. Thank you all for coming out, and look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow.
Get allowed a 5-time Bassmaster winner from Jasper, Texas, TODD, Todd Faircloth. Todd Faircloth, a 5-time Elite Series winner, and look out, had 20 pounds 2 ounces yesterday, looking for 19 even, 17 pounds and 12 ounces with 37 pounds 14 ounces. Louisiana, let's hear it for Todd Faircloth, moves into 3rd place.
Yeah, you know, it was a different lake today, and I caught 2 of my biggest fish doing something that I never did yesterday, so I'm excited about that. I'm actually catching fish 3 different ways. So the fish are in, you know, different zones of the water column right now, and you know, I'm just kind of mixing it up, doing a little this, a little that, and fishing the conditions, and worked out real good today. I made a good decision at the end of the day, and worked out.
James Elam on an incredible streak, hot off a win just a couple years ago, and since then he has not looked back. And look out at our leaderboard. 15-14 to start the day. 5 fish to add to that. Make a trip wrestle them here today. 22 pounds, 10 ounces. Just 10 ounces short of the overall lead. He moves into 2nd place with 38 pounds and 8 ounces. 38 pounds and 8 ounces, and he sits in 2nd place. What a giant rally here on day number 2. Toledo Bend Bassmaster Elite, presented by Econo Lodge.
You know, I had more bites yesterday, and you know, I was missing them. You know, I made a change late in the day yesterday, and I finally found a bait I think they'll eat. So today I got less. I only caught like 7 fish. I know it looked easy, but it was really a grind. I caught 1 here, 1 there, 1 over there, and you know, I only had 2 fish at like noon. So I made a move late in the day and went to an area that was blown out by the wind yesterday. I couldn't fish. So and when I got in there today, I didn't know. It looked muddy still. I didn't know if I'd catch any, but it was on. So maybe I'll spend some more time in there tomorrow, and maybe things will be good. But you know, it hasn't been easy by any means. So I could, you know, not have a day like that again for sure.
Elite Series, a rookie, came close to winning his first Elite Series event from Newport, New York. Let me hear it for Jamie Hartman. Jamie Hartman, as I said, came very close to winning his first Elite Series event. Had 23 pounds, 5 ounces to start today, looking for 14.9. 15 pounds, 12 ounces with 39 pounds and an ounce. Nitro Bass Pro Shops Pro Jamie Hartman is leading this whole deal. The Toledo Bend Bassmaster Elite, presented by Econo Lodge.
Yeah, I got vengeance from Okeechobee, man. I bombed there, and I was mad going into this one. So, I mean, I really worked hard. But this one, too, I had a bad practice. I had a good practice at Okeechobee. I had a bad practice here. But I'm literally, I mean, I am grinding it out there. I mean, I'm fishing so hard. Normally, you know, I get myself on a good pattern, and I kind of stick with it, you know, switch it up a little bit. But here, I mean, I run 2 miles, I'm in 3 feet of water. I'll run another mile, I'm out in 30 feet of water. I'm just back and forth, still trying to figure it out. But I'm not going to try to figure it out. I'm just going to keep doing that.
It's working out so far. I got to clarify something before we let you go. You're leading this whole deal. We talked about it on Bassmaster Live. And a lot of times we'll talk about the incredible sacrifices that people make to make it on the Elite Series. You qualified for the Elite Series, and what did you do with your house and belongings?
I don't know where it is. I left it all there. I put it in storage, locked the doors, and I left. And middle of December, I left to do a lot of the pre-fishing. I mean, they got such an advantage on me coming in as a rookie. All these guys have seen these bodies of water. I've never been down south. I've never fished these Texas waters or Florida. So I had a lot of work to do. So I left in the middle of December, put everything in storage, locked it, and I'm gone.
That is awesome. Incredible commitment, and it's great to see it pay off. Let's hear it for your tournament leader at the halfway point.
You know that feeling you get when you save money on parts without having to jump through any hoops, track points, or make a bunch of extra trips to the store? Yeah, that's the one. Introducing Speed Perks from Advance Auto Parts, a rewards program for guys who love getting under the hood. No cards, no points, no nonsense.
You're watching the Bassmaster Elite at Toledo Bend, being brought to you live by Power Pole.
I want to say thanks to each and every one of you for spending at least part of your Saturday with us watching Bassmaster Live. You can hang out a little later, say till 4:15 p.m. Eastern Time, 3:15 Central. Got the weigh-in, a crucial weigh-in. Matter of fact, coming from Cypress Bend Park, Dave Mercer going to take this field to 51, knock him down to 12. 12 guys who will have a chance, and boy, it's a dogfight to get into that top 12. We guarantee it's going to be all kinds of excitement. 4:15 p.m. Eastern Time. Power Pole replay of the day. Any surprise, Davey?
Not a surprise. Casey Ashley hooked up with a big one.
Oh, goodness. Big one.
Got him wrapped up here.
Golly.
But he gets it out. Then you have to try to take it easy with the fish because you know it frayed your line, but then you want to get it in the boat before it gets in another one of those trees. Does a good job here. Catches a 4.5, maybe 5 pounder.
We had a little stuttery video there, didn't catch all of it, but he said you don't know the half of what happened right there. He had that thing wrapped around one tree and the fish around another one. And his line around one and the fish around the other.
Good one there, and he caught a fish that was about a 2 pounder, so good upgrade. Got him back up into the top 12, which is real important. We also watched it yesterday. Stringer got him up in the AOY standings because he's certainly looking. Casey's hooked up now. Let's see if we can get to him.
He got it where he was supposed to. It's another 3 pounder.
Looks like he's still got 2.
I'm gonna go with the fat one.
Leaves him with only one small fish left, and he's got lots of time. And
I don't know why these fish won't just pull up on something, but they just scattered, man. It makes it aggravating, but there's a lot of good ones out here. Them's the kind right there make a difference.
Checking his line. And he's retying.
That one stick up out there just to the right side of the frame there has been his marker all day long, and ours too. I mean, we know exactly where he is when we see that thing.
Yeah, you betcha. He's caught 3 or 4 when we've been able to see that one stick up.
So that roughly means if he says that's about a 3-pounder, he said. I looked at you over there. What do you think, Davey?
It definitely is a 3-pounder. I'm going to say at least 3.5.
Well, if that's the case, then his 5 fish in the live well with that coal, he's got a 4.5, a 3.5, which was that one if you're calling it, and then a 3-pounder, a 2.5, and then one more 1.5-pounder. So he's got pretty solid fish, no giants, and one little one he needs to get rid of.
He's going to be near J.C. Christie in 4th place. And Matt Lee just caught a 3 and change and is climbed into the top 8.
This last 30 minutes here. Casey catches.
Ought to have 5 of them by now. That wouldn't have broke off. It's part of it though. Fishing around all this timber.
Headed back towards that stick, Tommy.
Yeah, it's. We've only ever gotten the view to the southwest here. That's just the way his boat's been lined up all day. I can't see how close he is to the other side of that, the mouth of that creek or whatever that feature is there.
He's got to be feeling good now that he's only got one small fish in his live well. If he catches him a 5+ here, it's going to get real interesting.
Well, he was in the middle of sacking up 23 pounds at this time yesterday, right on this spot. So.
You can tell he's working that jig across a tree right there. Where he gets his bite when he gets in contact with one of those trees. Hopped it right over a limb there. Popped it 3 times. I don't think it came over the limb yet.
We had just talked about Matt Lee jumping into the top 12 up to right now 6th to 8th within just a couple ounces, wiggle room. This would be Matt Lee's best career finish if he makes a top 12, even though he would still fish tomorrow. He's got his best 2 finishes as an Elite Series angler are 18th at Guntersville in 2015 and 21st last year at the Mississippi River. So anything better than 18th is Matt Lee's best career finish. So he could be fishing 4 days this week.
Jordan fired him up.
Talk about momentum. When the brother wins the Classic, you might as well go ahead and have your best finish ever in an Elite Series tournament.
I want some of that too.
Casey just missed one.
A couple of Auburn Tigers.
Got to be important to retie going through all this timber, right, Davey?
Yep.
Somebody's lying. I know it ain't mine because I ain't broke off out here today.
Davey, Eddie Thayer's
3
asking
o'clock.
why he's not using braid in the timber.
I'd like to get one more. 3-pounder. Keep it wet. I mean, we still in the area where they're at. I mean, every big fish I've caught's been right in here. Just had 2 bites on one little deal. I caught a limit right here this morning. It's just the end of a point. I hadn't been catching very many out this far. They were up high, suspended on the spinnerbait this morning on the shad spawn. I just pulled up here and I caught a 3-pounder and just missed one. I was hoping we might have found a little wad of them, but it doesn't look like that's the case.
What was that question, Suit?
Why he's not using braid in the timber, or why you wouldn't?
Well, I don't know his reasons for not using it. There's pros and cons to using braided line, especially when you're fishing wood. Sometimes a braided line on this old timber will tend to cut into it a little more, and you get hung a little more often with the braided line. That could be his reason. The other thing that I've personally seen happen when we went to Falcon Lake a few years ago, Falcon Lake became the destination spot, the bucket list spot for so many fishermen all over the country that it received a ton of fishing pressure. And there was no doubt in that tournament that you could get more bites on fluorocarbon than braided line. Keep in mind the abrasion that the braided line has to make noise and a little vibration when you're pulling it through this wood. And like I've mentioned to you before, Tommy, I'm not saying that bass are supposed to be really, really smart, but they certainly can become accustomed to things to be wary of and to be cautious of. And we only saw him break that one fish off, so he might get it 2 or 3 extra bites and sacrifice maybe losing a fish now and then. But you might ask 10 elite fishermen that are in this tournament today what line they'd be throwing, and you'd get different answers for sure.
Just got a blog in that John Murray is culled. Doesn't look like very much. So the picture just came in, and he had a 1/8 in his live well. Doesn't look like he gained, but maybe half a pound.
Okay.
Davey, you remember your first top 12 as an Elite Series pro, or your first top 12 as a professional?
I remember my first top 12 as a professional. The problem with remembering as an elite pro, they just started that in 06. It just kind of changed name, so to speak.
You were already seasoned, yeah.
So that's, I really don't remember that. My first top 12 as a professional was Megabucks, 94. My next top 12.
Where at?
That was at Lake Murray.
Oh,
in the
okay.
fall of 93, excuse me, 93. That's hard to remember that far back, Ronnie. Were you born then?
The fall of 93, I was 2 months old.
I certainly remember my first win not too long after that was at Lake Eufaula, the spring of the next year.
The Alabama, Georgia Eufaula, or the Oklahoma Eufaula?
Yes.
Okay.
Couple important fish for these guys. Just caught Skeet Reese with a 5 and Andy Montgomery with a 4.5, and counting out those points.
Good moves. Got a good look at Casey's jig there. It looked like green pumpkin purple, brown purple, one of the two, and that Z-Crawl trailer in green pumpkin. Get a look at the jig right here. I think we'll even get a little closer shot here in just a second. Good job by the cameraman, whoever's with him. Rob Rhodes.
Rob Rhodes.
Give a little shout out to Rob. You see the purple, it's brown and purple or green pumpkin purple with a green pumpkin Z-Crawl trailer.
Interesting story. I don't know if this is just a Gerald Swindle story or not, but he said that he was one of the guys who was instrumental in that Z-Crawl trailer from Zoom. And he said that he ended up just messing around and soldering a bunch of different soft plastics together and made the shape. And they came up with they made it up in their own deal, which is kind of unique. But that's kind of fits Gerald's mold for sure.
Making a new mold.
Making it his way.
Casey looks like he's moved out a little farther than we've seen him. He went past that stick that we've been watching a lot today, isn't he, Tommy?
He has.
Out where the big ones live, I hope.
Could be.
Dave, you got a question from JM Revels asking what rod Jacob Wheeler is using this buzzbait setup. If you don't know, you can maybe find out tonight if he's in there.
I'll try my best to find that out and have it for you tomorrow. Okuma rod. Looked like about if the rod I would throw would be a 7-foot, about a medium action rod with reeling a buzz bait like that across.
Todd Faircloth, an important 1.5-pound fish. Got him from 13th to 10th. He still needs a limit.
Yeah, he's struggling
still
today,
needs a limit.
A little bit he is.
James Elam is still without a limit.
It's so interesting down there. 10th through 14th, 15th right in there. Guys are gonna claw it out. Try to get to go fishing another day tomorrow.
Like red buttons. Never got a limit.
Hackney, Benton, Ayler, Montgomery, Fighter. Brett Height now at 13th, and Casey Ashley. Well, no, Casey, that's wrong. Casey Ashley's up in top 5.
As we check in on the AOY leader, Ott Defoe moved up from 41st to start the day and unofficially in 20th, holding strong with 15.5. So extending that lead today, it seems.
That's 20 points there, and if Elam stays down and loses 10 points, it's back to his 30-point lead.
That's about right where we started.
Yep.
You bet.
Still showing Casey in 12th on my Bass track, and I just updated it.
Yeah, that's.
He should pop in any second. Just came in the
okay.
We've had him on
Twitter feed.
On the live screen, updated for a while. It's just not quite sifting through.
There's a big difference between just 30 minutes before Casey has to weigh in, whether he's sitting in 12th or 5th. Better look out for him tomorrow. Yeah. He's in the top 5.
You got him 4th now. He just came up as 4th. Well, if Christie has a big fish in his limit, or is he there, as far as we know?
Last cast.
Yeah, we had seen that. We had seen that on the blog.
Casey just said last cast. Is he weighing in at 3? Checking at 3?
Yep, checking at 3, first flight.
I think he's going to maybe stop somewhere else.
Yeah, he's right across the lake,
he's
isn't
30
he?
minutes away.
Casey Ashley getting it done after falling off the pace a little bit to start his day. Right back in the top 5, tucked in there behind Jamie Hartman. Behind Jamie Hartman. Jason Christie, John Murray, Brandon Palaniuk. Who will be the guys we're following tomorrow? We won't know till after the weigh-in is done. We've had some fireworks at these weigh-ins.
That's the kind of freak
Billy Jordan, yeah.
Make a difference here.
Texas guy showing up with a big one.
Right now in 8th place with 33 pounds.
Brandon Palaniuk looks like he's guaranteed to fish tomorrow. He moved way up today.
Saw a still of him with a good big one out there. About midday today.
Bassmaster Elite presented by
James Elam. Going to be one of those guys sweating it out, it looks like. Let's see, pulls something in the last few moments of fishing here on Toledo Bend. Started early today with a quick limit for Jacob Wheeler.
Let's not forget about Jacob Wheeler.
No doubt, he's a dangerous cat, that's for sure. There's your leader right there, Jamie Hartman, a good lead too.
Fishing like a guy that sold his house to be here, isn't he?
Absolutely, and that's what he's done. We'll be back with Bass Live tomorrow, 4:15 Eastern, the weigh-in.